We're going to be tracking wind gusts still, though, up to 35 miles per hour, only cooling as the afternoon goes on. The strong wind gusts start to phase out into Friday morning, but temperatures a lot cooler, up to 40 degrees, mostly sunny. Saturday, looking at 56 degrees, dry, partly cloudy. Sunday, 43. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gosh.
All the cool people are listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. So, congratulations.
One of the local left-wing public school districts here in the area backs down. This is really good news. We're going to bring you the details on that a little bit later today, right around 7:35. You do not want to miss that conversation because every once in a while, we actually get a win for common sense and, frankly, common decency. Hey, good morning. Happy Thursday to you. Mike Ferguson here. Also, I'm starting to think that the Republicans in Missouri are serious about reforming the income tax and coming up with a plan to get rid of it. We're going to talk with Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger about that a little bit later on today around 8:35. And speaking of the Missouri legislature, of course, every activist group out there has their issue. A lot of lobbyists are out there, but the Show Me Institute is unique in that they are a nonprofit think tank and they do research. And every year they come up with a list of suggestions that they hope the lawmakers and the governor will take to make Missouri more competitive and more free and, frankly, lessen the tax burden on us. They call it the Blueprint. It is released for this year already, and their CEO, Brenda Talent, joined us on Wednesday to discuss what they think the priority should be. There's a whole set of ready-made free market solutions offered to them every year. It's out there right now. So the question is, will they take that to heart?
I sure hope so.
It is called the Blueprint. Show Me Institute puts it out every year. Brenda Talent is our CEO, and she joins us right now. Brenda, I know that first of all, good to talk to you again, but I know there's a lot of the same sorts of issues that the Show Me Institute is zeroed in on, school choice and obviously tax reform and a number of things, because they're issues that there's been some progress in a lot of areas, but there's still a lot more to do. When the Blueprint was being put together, what were some of those areas? Let's start with to say, yeah, there's been a few things that have gone the right direction, but man, here's how we can make things better for the state. What jumped out to you and the team?
Well, a couple of areas we certainly have seen progress, but more needs to be done, as you say, is in the income tax area. We've been, slowly ratcheting down the rate. Last year, they also eliminated taxes on capital gains. But more needs to be done there to make Missouri competitive. And then when you talk about school choice, where parents can make the decision about what schools their children can attend, whether private or public, again, we've made progress in that. We now have the Most Scholars program, which allows families to apply for scholarships, which they can then use as they see fit for their child's education. We've seen charter schools expand to Columbia. But again, much more needs to be done. And what's frustrating, particularly in the school choice area, is we have seen other states take giant strides in this area. So it's not as if it's rocket science. It's not as if we're going to reinvent the wheel. Other states have done the experiment and it works. And we need to really embrace the school choice movement that we're seeing in other states, because we're competing with them for families and businesses.
Now, you mentioned the school choice issue, the education. This isn't even just necessarily about, the conservative versus the leftist or the liberal approach to it. I'm looking at your website right now, and we've got some serious problems. Only 42% of fourth graders are reading at any significant level. The headline on the website says Missouri's reading crisis. 42% of fourth graders can barely read. So 4 out of 10 fourth graders in the state are borderline illiterate or at their grade level. What did that tell us, and how do we come to that number?
Well, it's unfortunately been a trend in recent years. And, how do we get to that number? Well, we get to that number by not having clear standards and accountability within our public school system. I mean, other states have made a commitment to say, we're going to teach our third graders to read. And guess what? Again, programs are in place in those states which are actually making a difference. And a lot of people talk about Mississippi. It is a poster child of this. They used to rank like 49th with their reading scores. They're now in the top, I want to say 6th or 9th, depending upon what you're looking at in reading. And they did some simple things. They said, first of all, they made a hard, no excuse. We are going to teach our kids to read by third grade. They have a universal test. They apply it to all the kids. So there's no like fudging on exams. It's very clear. You got to make this kind of score in order to be promoted. And they have a strict retention policy. I mean, there are some carve outs for children with dyslexia or where English is a second language, but children must be able to read to be promoted. And again, parents are like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. No, actually it's not, because what the studies show is that keeping a child back in third grade so that they can learn to read is actually much more beneficial than waiting until they're in eighth grade and figuring out they can't, because they will adjust with their peers at these younger ages. And and Mississippi, it's called the Mississippi Miracle, has experienced an incredible surge in their reading scores. Louisiana's doing it. Indiana's doing it. I mean, other states are getting on board because this program works, but it requires commitment. It requires teaching what's called scientific-based reading, or what you and I know, Mike, as phonics, and requiring that the teachers use that in the classroom.
What would be any obstacles to that? Because if it's worked in other states and middle of America states right there, that would seem to be kind of a gimme and kind of a layup. Is there any reason it wouldn't be?
Well, Mike, it's interesting because one of the things we've been experiencing is people saying, oh, we've got these things in place. And it's sort of a, what would you call it? Where it's a little deceptive in the sense that we do have a policy in place in Missouri about retention, but it's not enforced. There's no teeth behind it. There's no requirement. We do provide tests to see if the kids can read. But again, it's not universal. Different school districts can adopt different one and have what they call different cut scores. That's sort of the level at which if you fall below, you don't go on. And if you fall above, you're fine. We don't have that. And then for teaching phonics, I think this illustrates the problem in Missouri. Last year, there was a bill introduced to say that you could not teach what's called 3Qing. This is word association, and that in fact, you have to teach what is effectively phonics. By the time it got through the legislature, it had been changed. Instead of an absolute prohibition against these non-scientific methods, it was could not be primarily. And then you must primarily use. And you and I both know, Mike, that once you start using those words, that's just a signal to have workarounds so you don't really follow what the intent of the law is.
Yeah, that's inserting loopholes, basically.
That's what we lawyers love, loopholes, and we figure out how to get through them.
We're visiting with Brenda Talent from the Show Me Institute. Okay, let's talk about the overall, as far as state economy and what the Show Me Institute really tends to be known for, which is that fiscal policy. In addition to the education policy, Governor Keogh says he is on board with eliminating the state income tax and having a plan to get from where we are right now to a zero income tax, state income tax, like other states have done. What would be a good plan, a good responsible way to get from here to there?
Well, we've got a number of recommendations in our blueprint, and I would say that, you've got to balance both sides of the ledger, right? So you can't just cut taxes and not have a plan to control your spending. You need to do that. You've got to either control your spending or control your spending and widen your base. And we think that a good plan would incorporate both elements of that, in the sense of there are things that, we shouldn't be imposing an income tax that discourages production of income. Sales taxes are a much less, if you would call it, detrimental to the economic growth of the state. But of course, we have to look closely at that, because unfortunately in Missouri, we have multiple sales tax districts. So we do have areas in the state where the sales tax is pretty high. We've got to get that under control. So we talk a lot about what we call the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which is really to put what we call guardrails on the growth of government. Because once you can control that growth, you can then funnel the additional revenue that's generated into reducing taxes. There are a lot of ways, as they say, to skin this cat. And I think you've got to come up with a message which voters will embrace, because I do think if you've got the right leadership who can explain that vision, who could explain how it can make a difference in our economic competitiveness, people will be open to saying, okay, you know what, maybe we should have a sales tax on this type of service, but we've got to ratchet down the income tax. So there's a trade-off there that's going to go on, and that's a political issue. Mm-hmm. We know from a free market perspective, the way to go is to get to zero.
Yeah. And I mean, there's always somebody who says, I want to cut taxes. That's very popular on campaign trails and the politics of it. From the policy side of it, when it comes to the tax issue, there just seems to be more of an appetite and more of a demand kind of across much of the political ideological spectrum for people to say, I've had enough. These are really hurting me when you add all the taxes in together. Are we at maybe a bigger opportunity to make some of these changes than we have had at different times of our recent history?
I hope so, particularly with a governor who's committed to making a difference in our tax, system. It would be good for the state of Missouri to really revisit its entire tax collection system, because you're right, Mike. We're sort of death by 1,000 cuts for all the different kinds of taxes that we get hit with and how they're layered.
All right, Brenda Talon with the Show Me Institute, the blueprint available now. People want to connect. Hopefully they will follow you on social media, which we've already tagged Show Me Institute on there as well. But they want to read the blueprint for themselves. Where do they find it?
ShowMeInstitute.org.
And once again, just look up 2026 blueprint at that website that Brenda just listed to find that document and see it for yourself. All right, I'm going to keep reminding everybody we just got a few days left in the News Talk STL St. Louis County GOP food drive to benefit Feed My People right here in St. Louis. If you haven't donated some non-perishable food, you got time to do it. Please stop by one of our drop-off locations or go to NewsTalkSTL.com, look up the food drive, and find out how you can even send a text and get somebody to come pick up your donation as well. Once again, NewsTalkSTL.com.
The news and talk
85-year-old Nancy Pelosi, she's finally calling it quits.
That matters to St. Louis.
The people who love Mom Donnie the most are not people who pay bills every day.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors. Experience the passion. Oh, yeah. You can go in and see the best variety, the best pricing, the best quality, the best personalized service right there off of Highway K in O'Fallon, or you can have the store come to you. Oh, yeah. Brian and his team take great pride in running a fantastic flooring outlet, and you can get their 5-star ratings right there on Google. Just check it out. It's O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Louis Gohmert, he's a former congressman.
Bob Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
Pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. And so I snuck my transistor radio in my shirt and had the little earpiece into my ear and tried to keep my head turned where the teacher wouldn't see, but was listening to the World Series in class.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 101.9. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
It's more than a rebellion when your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work, real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, what's next for Dan Bongino?
Yeah, this was out of my bingo card.
This was interesting. I thought that he was going to, I didn't think he was going to finish out President Trump's term there, but yeah, he announces that he's going to be leaving the FBI within the coming weeks. We don't know exactly when yet. What do you think about that? Let's talk about it. Give me some notes on social media. Give me a call here. Also, I think I'm just going to toss this out there. Everybody does like these year-end reviews at this time of year. It's okay. Some of it's fine and some of it's not. But I got to thinking this has been such a weird year in so many different ways, a chaotic year in so many different ways. I think in the 7 o'clock, sometimes 7 o'clock hour, I'm going to put the question out there. And let's talk about the right, whether it's conservative movement or GOP or MAGA or Trump or local, just anything on the right. What has surprised you the most, good or bad, but surprised you the most? So I'm going to put that out there now and let that kind of marinate for a little bit, that we can talk about it a little bit later on. I'm really curious what people's thoughts are on that. So just heads up on that. 5:51 right now. I did not watch President Trump's speech last night. I'm going to admit it right now. I didn't watch it. Did you watch it?
No, I crashed. I have an early bedtime these days.
Yeah. Oh, I understand. So I even read the articles on this morning. I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have a whole bunch of sound bites from it. When no, I mean, it's basically, it was the president talking about how great the Trump administration is. That's what it looks like. So nothing really of consequence policy wise. He was just talking about what he's been doing and what he wants to do. And that was really about it. It wasn't really something you typically do a national address over, but okay. It didn't sound like there's some things I disagree with that he said, obviously, but a lot of things I do agree with, but it really wasn't the big policy breakthrough thing that you would think a national address would do. But it was, from what I could tell, I'm like, okay, well, it's fine, whatever. But I'm glad I didn't stay up for it.
Yeah, from some of the clips that I've seen, this didn't really seem like something that needed to be done at 8 o'clock on a weeknight.
Yeah, exactly. So, but if you have some different opinions on it, let me know, because we're going to have it in the news dump. I've got a story on that as well. Okay, 5:52 right now. Dan Bongino, former NewsTalkSTL host. He says he is leaving the FBI. Sounds like he's leaving on very good terms. The president was asked about this by reporters. I think it was on Air Force One. And or one of the air bases, and he says, I think he wants to go back to a show. So where does that leave Dan Bongino? Dan Bongino basically left an empire in building. He was as an empire in building, as in he was building a massive media empire, and he left it all behind to go serve in the FBI when the president called. And that shows you where his priorities are. Because I am telling you, he walked away from likely tens of millions of dollars. Dan Bongino, between the podcast and Rumble, because remember, Dan Bongino is one of the key owners of Rumble, his syndicated program, which was one of the biggest in the country. And he just walked away from it all because the president asked him to serve. So assuming he goes back to media of some kind, which I would think that he is going to do, what's next and what kind of impact could he have? Because you really don't just walk back in and pick up where you left off after you've handed that off to somebody else. In this case, Vince Colonnese, who's you can hear every night here on News Talk STL.
Yeah, there's a lot of different directions I suppose this could go. There are some tweets that were made and some statements that Dan Bongino's made that it indicated pretty early on that he was not satisfied with some of the things that were going on. And he himself, I mean, he's got a law enforcement career behind him, and he's got a lot of, he's very patriotic. So it could be, he might try to step back in, but I don't think the Dan Bongino show would be able to keep, not the trajectory in terms of the viewership, but maybe the content would have to change to some degree. I mean, there's probably a lot of questions that people want answered that only Dan would be able to answer. And it might be worth maybe doing like a media tour or a book or something.
Yeah, I don't know. And I guess he could go and do the just podcast video show kind of thing. I guess you could do that. My guess is that a lot of radio stations would say, just give us the word. We'll put you back on, which, I don't know. If assuming that's what he wants to do, maybe he wants to host a show on Newsmax TV or Fox TV or something like that. I don't know.
Now, one of the things, and Corporeal Being actually agrees. So he said that never thought Dan Bongino would wimp out, and that he thinks that Dan Bongino has lost a lot of his audience with the lack of results, and maybe has been damaged potentially with his credibility by being part of the Trump administration. So
yeah, I just don't know. I know that Bongino has been frustrated by the lack of transparency, in particular on things like the Epstein files, without a doubt. Could be, but there's definitely don't just go back to where you were and keep going. So I don't know what's next. I mean, I've only had a couple of conversations with Dan Bongino, not in person, but on the phone, and a couple, we texted back and forth a couple times. But I can tell you this is that he's a really smart guy. He's a very savvy guy. And wherever he decides to get in, if he decides to go back to radio, he won't start where he left off, but he will definitely, be back on track to, his sponsors will come back. If he decides to do a podcast, it would immediately probably start off in the top 50 overall. If he decides to go the TV route, it'll be pretty, highly rated. Because remember, he did a TV show for Fox News. If he decides to do just the podcast video thing, okay, he'll have a built-in audience there, and we'll probably run sound bites from it regularly. So, and he may do something completely different. He may go into, consulting or security. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. My guess is that he'll do something media wise. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. All right. 314-912-1019. Curious what you'd like to see Dan Bongino do. We've got a news dump coming your way. And boy, did the Blues have a tight game last night. It was defense all the way around on that one. I'll tell you about it just ahead.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my favorite go-to store for seafood, gourmet goodness, and tons of wine. It's Stars, 1135 South Big Bend. A huge selection of seafood flown in from the coast. Lemon sole, halibut, Maryland lump crab, Gulf shrimp, and you got to try the trout dip. Plus, imported and domestic hand-cut cheeses, lots of hand-picked wines at great prices, hard-to-find gourmet foods, and fresh roasted coffee using only the best quality beans. Stars, 1135 South Big Bend, just off of Highway 40.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL. JC's Sunday Showgram.
This week, we crack open more of our Christmas library.
Can you talk to me a little bit about what you remember about doing It's a Wonderful Life?
Well, it's my favorite, and it's Frank Capra's favorite.
If it's been said, sung, or joked about, we'll have it Sunday morning. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Thank you, JT. Great. Thank you. Enjoy talking.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on NewsTalkSTL.com.
Hey, how you doing? Santa Vic here.
And Santa's head Vic head here.
And you can win some great prizes with News Talk STL's St. Louis Conservative Christmas.
You forgot the ho-ho-ho. You forgot the ho-ho-ho.
Oh!
No, ho.
Oh!
Log on to NewsTalkSTL.com for your chance to win great prizes from Ami's Pizzeria and Restaurants, Small Cakes Cupcakery and Creamery, and Gulf Shores Restaurant, Food Truck and Catering. NewsTalkSTL.com.
Oh!
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
I remember my son was going to grow up without a father.
I didn't think someone at 23 could be diagnosed with breast cancer.
I was probably the healthiest I had been in my life.
Early detection of a melanoma saved my life.
I survived testicular cancer because of early detection.
I survived cancer not once, but twice because of early detection.
Hi, I'm Congressman Bob Onder. Early detection equals better outcomes. Learn what routine cancer screenings you need and book your doctor's appointment today.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump says he's working hard to fix a mess he was left by the Biden administration, and that includes working to make America affordable again.
Here at home, we're bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices and everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast.
Mr. Trump addressing the nation from the White House last night. The FBI's number 2 official plans to resign next month.
FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino's planned resignation in January would be among the highest profile departures of the Trump administration. The president suggested Bongino would return to his prior role as a popular podcast host.
Dan did a great job. I think he wants to go back to his show.
Bongino was an unconventional pick to be the FBI's second in command. Though he had previously worked as a New York City police officer and Secret Service agent, he had no prior experience at the Bureau. Greg Clugston, the White House.
A $901 billion defense spending bill is on its way to the president's desk after clearing the Senate. Head of the vote, Armed Services Committee Chair Roger Wicker touted the bill's significant Pentagon reforms.
We're about to pass, and the president will enthusiastically sign the most sweeping upgrades to DoD's business practices in 60 years. This is a monumental achievement.
Police are looking for 2 persons of interest in connection with the deadly Brown University shooting. Arraignment for Nick Reiner, accused of murdering his parents, has been postponed to next month. Ahead of this morning's inflation update, stock futures are higher. The Dow futures up 118 points. NASDAQ futures ahead almost 200. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Now there's a new way to take charge of your blood sugar. Introducing New Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula from the makers of the nation's best-selling garlic supplement. New Garlic helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels with clinically supported levels of garlic, plus a custom blend of vitamins and minerals, and it's odor-free. Take charge of your blood sugar with New Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
With Progressive, renters can save on protection for the things that make your place yours, even things that don't make sense to everyone.
People always wonder why I don't get rid of my guitar since I never play. But it's like, what if I actually end up taking lessons? Sure, I've had it for 8 years, but if I get rid of it, then what will my New Year's resolution be next January?
Exactly. So bundle your renters in auto and save with Progressive and protect the things that make sense to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking scattered showers becoming more widespread throughout the mid-morning hours. That'll press off to the east as we get towards the early afternoon. We're going to be tracking wind gusts still, though, up to 35 miles per hour, only cooling as the afternoon goes on. The strong wind gusts start to phase out into Friday morning, but temperatures a lot cooler, up to 40 degrees, mostly sunny. Saturday, looking at 56 degrees, dry, partly cloudy. Sunday, 43. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Looking for treasures from the past? Discover Mimi's Antiques Attic, your locally owned and family-operated treasure hunt destination. Explore 16,000 square feet of antiques, crafts, collectibles, and designer items across 225 unique rental spaces. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sundays, 10 to 6 at 1000 Warrenton Shops in Warrenton. Mimi's Antiques Attic, where every visit uncovers new treasures.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Alamo Military Collectibles, Monocle's Pizza, and Gemini Wealth Group.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community, Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at NewsTalkSTL.com. Mike Ferguson.
Is there anything in your life that is not Trauma Olympics?
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
There's no crying in baseball.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
You know, I actually found my T-shirt that says "There's no crying in baseball."
Oh, you did?
I thought I'd lost it. Actually, I thought I lost it. I thought my daughter stole it. Turns out that I actually have it. So when baseball season comes around, I get to wear that one again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's an important mantra.
6:05 right now. All right, here's what's going on. One of Missouri senators is on board with missile strikes on suspected drug boats. I think both of them are, but one of them speaking out about it. President Trump makes his primetime address to talk about President Trump. And the Blues end up in a battle of defense last night. This was interesting. All right, 6:06. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you here.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
Oh, by the way, Republicans in the U.S. House passed a bill that they say is going to lower insurance costs, medical insurance costs. So that healthcare bill got passed, by the way, in case you missed it, because everything else is overwhelming.
Kind of important.
Yeah, 216 to 211 vote. So it does not extend the Obamacare tax credits. So at the Capitol, Speaker Mike Johnson telling reporters that is going to bring changes for essentially all Americans and the healthcare system.
It increases the quality of care, the access to care. It gives persons more options, more flexibility in their healthcare, and also it adds transparency. We had the PBM, Pharmacy Benefit Manager transparency piece to it as well.
Okay, so the bill allows, and Bob Onder was talking to us about this earlier this week, the bill allows small businesses to basically group together to form association health plans so you can buy on scale, which might drive the cost down a little bit. It's insane that that's not legal now.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Democrats, of course, wanted to extend the COVID era tax credits of Obamacare. President Trump, GOP, they want to discontinue those subsidies, which essentially go right to insurance companies.
Right.
Just bottom line for that. Saying they'd rather give the money directly to the people instead. I would love to get the government out of healthcare, but I think we've crossed that Rubicon.
Baby steps?
I would love a baby step, any baby step towards empowering us, and unempowering, disempowering federal government would be my choice.
Amen.
Okay. Pentagon officials showing Armed Services Committee members, both the House and the Senate, the full unedited video of that now controversial second strike carried out against a suspected drug boat. The September 2nd strike killed 2 people who had survived the initial attack on the boat. And of course, you got the accusations of things like war crimes and claims that the military killed survivors who had no capacity to fight back. And that's the argument that's happening right now. Senator Eric Schmidt saw the video. He defended the decision by Admiral Frank Bradley to hit the boat again. This is from Fox's America Reports.
They were seeking to turn the boat back over. It was still floating. They knew there were other narco terrorists in the area. They were seeking to join up with them. And so that effort was ongoing.
And of course, there's a call to release the video to the public as well.
Yeah, I mean, Senator Schmidt, I think no one would be surprised that he'd be supportive of the administration, but you know who else was? John Fetterman.
I saw that. Yeah.
So, and then obviously he's been the one sane moderate Democrat for months now, which is kind of strange. Didn't see that coming. But to me, that tells you a lot.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, he's not getting ready to switch his parties.
No, that's actually already been addressed. He said, no, I'm a Democrat. And he's a leftist. He's a Democrat.
Right. So this isn't like cozying up
Right.
so that, no, this is somebody who's being like, seems to be trying to be a straight shooter.
Right.
And so, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that should tell you something.
I'm not saying we need more Democrats in Congress to stroke out, but, because
yeah, no,
because
that's not
everything
the way to
changed when he did. So.
Yeah. No, he has turned out to be kind of a hidden gem.
Yeah, interesting. It's interesting. All right, President Trump talking about his immigration and economic policies in a primetime speech to the nation last night.
In his primetime address, the president highlighted the core principle of his economic strategy.
Tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs.
He also touted his administration's approach to immigration.
We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country.
The president criticized the Biden-era transgender policies and claimed he was fixing the mess he inherited nearly a year ago. Greg Clugston, Washington.
So no major policy announcements or anything like that. It was just essentially a recap, and we're doing great, and here's what we want to keep doing.
So you mean Tucker's inside information
Exactly.
that he was going to be declaring war on Venezuela in this speech wasn't right?
What? Tucker Carlson was full of crap? What? No, you don't say.
Yeah.
Just a little note. Yeah, we actually mentioned that just a few minutes ago. It's amazing to me there are still people who listen to Tucker Carlson. I mean, I was a Tucker fan, 3-4 years ago.
Me too.
I'm like, what has happened to him? He's become a complete grifter for the highest bidder.
Yeah, and I don't know.
He's become corrupt.
It doesn't even, a lot of what it doesn't even make sense to me,
No.
but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Of course, here's an update from Australia, and this is one of the warnings that we give when tragedies happen and you have people on the left responding to that. So in response to the attack on the Hanukkah celebration in Australia, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese at a press conference explaining how he plans to crack down on speech in the name of fighting anti-Semitism.
1. Aggravated hate speech offence for preachers and leaders who promote violence. Secondly, increased penalties for hate speech promoting violence.
Yeah, see, and that's the danger. Especially, did you notice he said he was targeting preachers? So
imams?
Yeah, well,
I mean, are they
not.
included in that?
I doubt it.
Was speech involved in the attack on Bondi Beach?
Not as far as I know, but it's an excuse to crack down. This is what's happening in the UK, and Australia is following suit.
It's the Norm Macdonald joke.
Yeah, basically it really is. So these are the things you have to be aware of, which is predictable. I can't say I'm surprised, but basically aggravated hate speech. People are going to go to jail. I mean, in Scotland and in England, I mean, basically in the UK, there are people sentenced to many years in jail for things said on Facebook.
Assault with a harmful word, Mike.
Basically, that's essentially what it is.
Mhm.
Yep, very, very scary. All right, FBI deputy FBI director, former News Talk STL host Dan Bongino announcing that he's leaving the agency in January. Yeah, he posted that statement on social media Wednesday. So while Bongino himself didn't announce any specific plans, President Trump told reporters that he believes Bongino wants to go back to his show.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair assumption. I think more than anything, he wants to go back to his family.
Yeah.
They're in Florida. He's in DC. I don't think, I think that's hard on them. But yeah, I mean, he took a significant pay cut.
Oh, my God, by millions of dollars.
Right.
And so I never thought that he was going to finish out the term. So,
No.
But it looks like he's leaving on very good terms with everybody.
It does seem like that.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, they got Andrew Bailey in place kind of, I think, to maybe step into that role.
Something big's going to happen for Andrew Bailey.
Yes.
Do not be surprised if this time next year, Andrew Bailey is in a he's in a very, very lofty position now. do not be surprised if he is one of the key people in the presidential administration.
I will not be.
Yep. All right, 6:13 right now. A giant charity is receiving some big and some unique donations this time of year.
It's becoming a Christmas tradition. Anonymous donors dropping big money into the Salvation Army kettles of bell ringers across the nation. In Barrie, Vermont, somebody popped a gold coin worth over $4,000 into a kettle outside a shopping center. In Lincoln, Nebraska, a bell ringer outside a Shields store found a gold coin worth $4,200 in his pot. More than $10,000 worth of gold has been dropping in kettles around Chicago so far this season. Michael Harrington reporting.
And nobody knows who did it.
Wow. And those, those are different locations. So
Yep.
you would think it's not the same person.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah. And we've heard stories on this occasionally in years past,
Sure.
but now we're seeing like a trend of
It
people.
almost
doing
is like it's coordinated.
Right.
In a positive way. It's nice to use that word in a positive fashion. But yeah, that is, or else it's copycat. Like someone heard somebody else did it, was like, I've got one of those and I can do that too.
Or somebody thought they just had a random golden dollar and they're like, I'll put that in there, not realizing it was one of these really expensive ones.
possible.
Well, right. And imagine if you're that person and you hear them talking about this on the news and you're thinking, oh,
Wait a minute,
wait, what did I do?
Where's my thing? Because here's the thing: to give that much money is fantastic. The people who did this, they don't get to write this off.
That's
on
what
their
I say.
taxes.
You
They
can't
don't-
write that off of your taxes.
Yeah.
So you're just giving the money.
You're
And
just All right, the Blues get one goal. That's all they got last night in last night's game. But that's all they needed.
Yay!
Yep. Justin Falk found the net in the second period. That was the only goal of the game. Blues beat the Jets 1-0. Joel Hofer was perfect in the net, 24 saves.
Hey.
Yep. Blues are back on the ice tonight. They got one of those rare back-to-back games. One day after the next one. They host the Rangers tonight at Enterprise. This one starts at 7:00.
Cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
I have to tell my kids that I'm a rock star now.
on News Talk STL.
Oh, hey. You wanna do that? Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
This holiday season, help Feed My People fill the shelves. News Talk STL and the STL County GOP are partnering for an annual food drive, November 10th through December 21st. Drop off your non-perishable food donations at all Bartolino's restaurants, all Chris's Pancakes and dining locations, all 3 Michael's Flooring outlets, STL Windows and Doors, or at the News Talk STL studios.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson, and together we can make a difference for families in need.
Visit NewsTalkSTL.com for complete drop-off locations. Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Brain fog, fatigue, and stubborn weight aren't random. They're signs your detox pathways aren't keeping up. I'm Dr. Brian Deloney. This week, we talk liver health, methylation, and how to restore detox the right way. Tune in.
Simply Health, Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Vince Colonnese. I'll talk to you tonight at 8. But now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show on News Talk STL.
It's kind of weird how the news cycle works and the chaos that's happening all around us, that we try to keep up with here on shows like this. A couple of months ago, it would have seemed impossible to push the story about the National Guard being deployed by the feds, to push that off the headlines.
True.
Now that's swallowed up by everything else that's going on, but there's been a ruling on this that's significant that you were writing about on Red State.
It's true.
As well.
It's true.
So, by the way, ICE is now going back into Chicago, and they're kind of re-energizing what they're doing there. I don't know how much the National Guard is going to be involved in that, but I think what happened is the Trump administration looked at what J.B. Pritzker signed into law and went, "Oh yeah, I'll show you."
Right.
And so that's going to be an interesting development to watch. But this particular case that you were writing about, Susie, has to do with the deployment stateside under the federal auspices for what?
This has to do with the deployment of the National Guard in Washington, D.C.
Right. Specifically that one.
Specifically that one. Now, folks will remember they've been deployed in different locations. There was Los Angeles, there was Oregon, Chicago. Memphis was by invitation. The places where they were invited in, there's no litigation going on over that. They're not scrambling over that. It's the places where they were called in, but the mayors, governors, whatever, have an objection to that. So those places have all sued. There's a lawsuit, Newsom versus Trump in California. There's an Oregon suit going on. There's an couple Illinois suits going on, one of which is before the Supreme Court right now, when we're waiting on a ruling from them. But DC was the one where they went in, and it seemed to be sort of a little bit on a collaborative effort. And they went in, like, I guess in August, I want to say. The District of Columbia filed suit in September and followed the practice of the other locations and said, no, you're overstepping your authority. This is a violation. The trial court judge, the district court judge said, yeah, you're probably overstepping your authority here, and issued a preliminary injunction. But she stayed her ruling for 21 days, recognizing that the administration might want to appeal that, which they did. And now, yesterday, I'm going to hit the microphone here, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals put her ruling on hold and said, we think the administration, the president, has this authority in the District of Columbia.
See, I want to get into that in a second because it's a different situation with DC.
Correct. Now, I do want to point out this was a 3-judge panel that made the decision. It was actually a per curiam decision, which means it's an unsigned, but each of the judges, 2 of the 3 judges issued statements, all of them in favor of it. The main statement is by Judge Millett, Patricia Millett, who is an Obama appointee. The other 2 judges are Trump appointees. So we hear Katsas and Rao all the time. They're the ones that almost always seem to be making rulings that conservatives appreciate. But Millett is not. She is not a Trump appointee. And she wrote the statement here in support of this. And she does a really, really nice job of laying out the history of the National Guard, the history of D.C., and the way that the laws interplay with each other. If you're wanting a primer on that, I really suggest reading this opinion.
Yeah. And the article, you've got the article on redstate.com. What's it called so people can look it up here?
Well, let me pull it up here. Trump notches another D.C. circuit win with National Guard ruling.
Okay, so let's do a reminder here because people still debate this and argue it. It is a whole different thing when you're talking about the deployment into Washington, D.C. versus Chicago, L.A. Now, you may support the president's decision to do that, but that's not what I'm talking about, right? Washington, D.C. literally is run by the federal government.
Correct.
By design.
It's a federal district.
Right.
It is not a state. So the sovereignty issues that come into play with states aren't in play with D.C. And in fact, that is talked about quite a bit in the statements that accompany this decision. And in fact, the one Trump judge pointed out, look, you guys didn't even raise standing. I don't think the District of Columbia has proper standing to bring a lawsuit against the federal government over sovereignty issues. So that's something you might want to look at. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't bring that. But in any event, yeah, the District of Columbia is by design, basically the president essentially is the governor of the district.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's a whole different interplay in the statutes involved when you're talking about actions taken by the federal government with relation to DC as opposed to a state. So this doesn't solve anything for California or Illinois or Oregon, any place else where this is going on, there's an objection being raised. But it is actually encouraging to see, and this is the DC Circuit Court of Appeals, which is not necessarily a right-leaning court. Well, it isn't a right-leaning court; it's a left-leaning court. But they've actually issued some decent rulings. So this is a nice win for the Trump
Yeah. So
administration.
normally I always ask that question. Okay, what does this mean to us here? And there's a likelihood that the answer is nothing.
To us here in
Right.
Missouri,
or Illinois, yeah.
or nothing. In Illinois, probably nothing, because this isn't going to have any. First of all, these are separate jurisdictions,
Right.
so they're not going to have binding precedent on each other. What's going to make a difference in Illinois is the National Guard deployment case is actually up before the Supreme Court on the emergency docket. We're waiting for it. There's an application for stay in from the administration, and we're waiting on the Supreme Court to rule on that. That's going to make a big difference. And whatever they do is going to affect Illinois, Oregon, and California.
Now, does it make a difference, or were the arguments that, for instance, in some of these other states around the country, to some degree, it was about law and order, supporting police, cracking down on crime, but other times it was about federal law enforcement and protecting federal assets.
It does. And that's the other distinction here is in DC in particular, it had more to do with kind of law and order and crime. So then that raises issue about like the Posse Comitatus Act, because is the military being used for law enforcement.
I mean, there was a scourge of people throwing Subway sandwiches at people.
There was just one.
Oh, okay.
And he was, not found guilty. But anyway, no, and particularly in LA and in Chicago, what we saw was, this is, I think, a very strong argument by the administration, which is, look, we've got federal assets there trying to execute federal law, which they're bound to do. And we need this backup so that we can actually do our jobs and what we're required to do. I think that's a pretty strong argument. And I don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do with it, but I mean, it could happen any moment now that we're going to get that ruling, or it could be, a month from now. It's just, that one is one that's going to be really interesting because it's going to have an impact in a couple of different locations.
Yeah. How many, I'm not the exact number. I'm sure there's a lot of them out there, but are each of these different ones, these are all separate lawsuits that have worked up through separate channels?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Each one, the governors and or mayors of the particular municipalities and states have filed the lawsuit in federal court. There's been a ruling from a district court judge that's been appealed up to the Court of Appeals for this. So you've got the Ninth Circuit involved in California and Oregon. You've got the Seventh Circuit involved for Illinois. So, I mean, and there's they're all in different postures. There's different things going on with all of them, but there is one before the Supreme Court that is probably going to have an impact on all of them.
Right. And like you said, the Memphis one's different.
Memphis one's different because the authorities there asked the administration, asked the president to bring the National Guard in. Did Louisiana too? Louisiana might have.
Yeah, I think they might have.
Yeah. So any place where they were invited in, there's a different statute actually that's involved with that, and that's not really an issue from a legal standpoint.
Well, and Louisiana has such a completely different approach to law than all the other states.
Yeah, but in terms of what governs the president's ability to deploy, that's governed by federal law.
So do we have any hint on the posture of the Supreme Court on the other cases?
We don't. They have not signaled anything. This has not been an issue directly before them, at least in this context. And they have not really signaled what they might do. So, I mean, they asked for additional briefing once the application for stay was filed. I could go back and look and see what question they asked them to address, but we really don't have there's been no tip off
right
as to what they're going to do. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's going to be fascinating. With Washington, D.C., for instance, Democrats would love for D.C. to be a state. Well, because they want 2 more guaranteed Democratic U.S. senators. And I know that there are people who live in Washington, D.C., and they say they resent that they don't have home rule. I'm like, wait a minute. That was created by the Constitution for a very specific and clear reason, to put the nation's capital outside of any states. I mean, this is why Washington, D.C. is set up the way that it is set up, and that's a smart move.
Absolutely. And they do have home rule. There was in 1973, the Home Rule Act was enacted, and they do have some self-determination, if you will. They just don't have all of the sovereignty that a state does, and it is by design. And that, if they want to redo that all, you're going to be talking about rewording the Constitution, amending the Constitution. And I'm not sure that there's going to be the appetite to do that.
I don't think we're ever going to see another constitutional amendment.
Probably not.
I don't think there's ever going to be another constitutional
27 and
amendment.
done. Is it 29, 27?
27, I think. Yeah. So I don't think there's going to be another one. I think because I don't think you can get the level of consensus in this country that you would need to make that happen. So I just don't think that's ever going to happen.
No, I'm with you on that. It would be interesting to see what issue we could get that level of consensus on.
Term limits?
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything.
But that's not going to be pushed for by the people that push for amendments.
Right.
So
yeah, I just don't see it whatsoever.
Yeah. I don't really either.
No.
Well, with the trajectory that Gen Z and Gen Alpha are on right now, it might not be within you guys' lifetime, but when I'm old and decrepit, it may actually happen. I think that we're eventually going to have to learn
Wait,
from
are
this.
you calling us old and decrepit?
No, I'm saying when I'm old and decrepit.
Oh, okay.
You guys will just be decrepit
Like
at that
us.
point. Yeah. When I'm an old guy walking with a cane like Mike.
Yes.
Who's in better shape than I am. I can't.
Try stealing second base on me, dude.
But no, I don't think it's all hope is lost. I just think that it's going to take some time. Either we are completely on the roads to ruin as it is, so the amendment's not really going to matter anyways, or the younger generations are going to figure out and learn from the mistakes that we're making, and they're going to say, well, maybe it's worth actually getting along better and not blindly hating each other for no good reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, 20 years ago, would you have been able to predict what the things would look like now? No. So we don't know what they're going to look like 20 years from now. You don't. One thing I do know, though.
Oh, what's that?
You can have a very Merry Christmas if you join us for our annual Conservative Christmas Stocking Stuffer giveaway. All you have to do is go to NewsTalkSTL.com to check it out. There's all kinds of prizes that you can register for. There's gift cards from Havana 1961, Newstetter's Fine Jewelers, Charlie Stop Bakery, Whistlepig Outdoors, Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill, Small Cakes Cupcakery, and the grand prize, which is a $500 gift certificate from Newstetter's Jewelry. All you need to do, go to NewsTalkSTL, register, and we're going to pick many winners who are going to win various gifts. Come join us. Be part of the Conservative Christmas Stocking Stuffer giveaway.
I think my new favorite word is cupcakery.
Cupcakery.
That's just like fun to say.
Tomfoolery, cupcakery. I like it.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
A cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry.
On Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking scattered showers becoming more widespread throughout the mid-morning hours. That'll press off to the east as we head towards the early afternoon. We're going to be tracking wind gusts still, though, up to 35 miles per hour, only cooling as the afternoon goes on. The strong wind gusts start to phase out into Friday morning, but temperatures a lot cooler, up to 40 degrees, mostly sunny. Saturday, looking at 56 degrees, dry, partly cloudy. Sunday, 43. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Grandpa had a soft spot for dogs.
Yeah, he always had treats in his pocket.
He said if you're going to take care of people, you better take care of their best friends too.
Is that why we help dog shelters?
That's right. For every service call, we donate 10 pounds of dog food to local dog shelters, helping dogs waiting for a home.
Grandpa would like that.
He sure would.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Trump announced a blockade on all sanctioned Venezuelan oil tankers. Steve Bucci of Heritage will tell us if this is an act of war under international law at 4:20.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You know, it does feel good to give during the
does.
holiday season. That's why I like that story we did in the news dump a little bit ago. You know, somebody's dropping coins worth thousands of dollars for the different nonprofits out there in the kettles. This Christmas, though, you are making a difference in somebody's life here in St. Louis if you're part of our food drive.
Yay.
And it's really fun. And it's benefiting Feed My People right here in St. Louis. And of course, that's who we partnered with. And this is a unique food drive. I've done a lot of food drives during holiday seasons and Christmas seasons in my 30 years in broadcasting, almost 30 years in broadcasting. But this one's unique because it is so local and because the organization we're working with does so much more than just put food on people's tables.
They are a ministry.
Stephanie Berberich is with Feed My People. She joins us right now. And let me start there, Stephanie. First of all, I appreciate y'all working with us or letting us be a part of what you're doing. And that's what I think is so unique is that you're hyper local and you're working right here in St. Louis, but you're doing so much more than just handing out food to people. And that's crucial. I mean, meeting physical needs is absolutely crucial, but this just plays a part in a much bigger part of your ministry. Explain that to us.
Sure. And first of all, thanks for having us and making awareness just to the community. Okay. So I'll explain if you would like. I'll start from the top. So John and Carol DeGuire founded us over 43 years ago. Today, we have two sites, one serving in Jefferson County, the High Ridge location, and one in South County. We serve 11 zip codes. Make no mistake about it. Nobody goes away without food, though, wherever they live. We provide for over 1,700 individuals a week. We have 16 staff and over 500 volunteers that support us. We couldn't do it without them. We're open 6 days a week. We operate 2 thrift stores, one at each site, open to the public. And that's crucial because we always talk about shopping local and what it supports. It supports us is what it does. Our clients come in and shop a client choice pantry, and that is mainly to preserve their dignity. It's easy for you or I to just pack groceries and say a family of 4 or 5 get this. They get to shop for their own families, what they think they'll eat, what they will eat. We have very successful transformation program. We're so proud of this. It's just a few years old, and it's any service beyond food, such as job counseling, utility assistance, rental assistance, minor auto repairs, gas cards, bus passes, as well as referrals for medical assistance, finding shelter for the unhoused, and other services as requested. We offer 2 Christmas programs, and that's exciting this time of year, of course. We have the Adopt a Family, where companies or individuals will adopt specific families, all anonymous, of course. We match them up just by number, and then they will help with utility assistance, gifts. It's massive. Over 200 at just the South County site, and as well as over maybe 220 at the High Ridge location, in addition to a giving room. So that's a decorated room that just the parents, adults go through and shop for new items, gifts, toys, it might be clothing, whatever they choose for their families. So make no mistake about it. We never run out. The community just comes together. We don't want to band-aid it anymore. We want to break the cycle. And that's been the goal of this program. And it's been really successful. It's about 3.5 years old, but it's growing. It's just out there for anybody needing the help. We're not federally funded in any way, shape, or form. We get our donations and support of our programs through grants, private donations, church support, and just the generosity of the community, such as yourself, people doing food drives. We couldn't do it without our wonderful volunteers. We have food barrels right now at about 45 places this time of year. The past couple of months has just been very challenging, to say the least. When the request was made by Operation Food Surge, St. Louis Area Food Bank, and just private major philanthropists around. They came to the calling. St. Louis always does. By personal care drives, again, food drives to replenish the pantries, financial assistance to help with the high utility costs due to the raise the utilities just recently got. The community just doesn't hesitate to step up. And that's about wraps us up. We're just, everybody is a community. We all support one another. We just happen to be one of the largest because we do have the 2 sites in the massive amount of people we serve. So that's about Feed My People.
No, that's a great overview of it, Stephanie. And I'm curious. You mentioned that it got started about 40 years ago. What was the inspiration for them starting this up?
I'll tell you, John and Carol DeGuire, who are still around, they still come to all the events and so on. They had it in them. They had a calling. And so personally, they maxed out a bunch of credit cards, and out of one garage and one family and one bag of groceries, they started it in a house off Lee Ferry Road. And then the rest is history. They just grew. We're in the middle of an expansion at our High Ridge site. We own both the buildings, so it doesn't make sense to move or find larger. We just expand as much as we can. So we're trying to sustain that location to go out 10 years at least. And we will be breaking ground on that in the next couple of months.
We're visiting with
Stephanie.
We're visiting with Stephanie Berberich from Feed My People. Stephanie, I want to follow up on something you just said a second ago about breaking the cycle. And this is the difference between, just handing something out and something that is making people have the opportunity to be self-sustaining. So the difference between, using Lupton's words, toxic charity and something that's more holistic. Tell me about targeting that cycle and breaking the cycle so that hopefully the people that receive your help and the help of the people who are donating here, that they build their own independent lives, and they're not dependent on government, but they're also not dependent on organizations like yours.
Exactly. So it's wonderful to see clients come in and say, "Oh, my grandma used to come there, and when I was a kid, I used to come with them, and you did so much, and we used to get food." Okay, right there, it's cringing. Okay, it's wonderful that we were there, but it's cringing to think now they have children. So what can we do to change that? Sometimes it's as simple as they needed gas for their car to get to jobs, or daycare. So what we do is the intake worker, a client comes in twice a month. That's scheduled. And then because we are a supplemental pantry, we're not, most of them do have other ways, SNAP, okay, they're on food stamps, whatnot. But we're always there, even in emergency cases. But they'll come in, they get interviewed, okay? And at the end of the interview, it's basic, like, "Oh, you're here, there's still 5 people in the family, have a seat, we'll be right with you, your appointment's coming up." But the minute they say, "Is there anything else?" They might say, "Well, I had this job, but the car, I can't drive my car. It's illegal right now. I need an inspection." Or, "I don't have daycare. I don't have clothes." Well, we have a thrift store that can take care of that. Or, "I'm looking for a job." Or, "My 18-year-old is home and this is the worst. My kids at home, they're not in school, they're not working. They need to be productive." Most of them want help. They don't want to, they're referred to sometimes as freeloaders. I cringe at that because that is not the case. And in most cases, that is not the case. They want help. They don't know how to get it. That's where we step in. But we follow them every step of the way. They're not given a number to call. We follow it through. And they have to have skin in the game too now. They have to show up and they have to tell us how that went.
Sure.
That's what we try to do, tear the Band-Aid off lightly and then break that cycle. We want to hear about their job. We want to hear about the kid in school. That's what we want to hear. And that you own a home now, or that you're not unhoused, or that you're not behind in rent again. And that's what we want to hear, but we're there for them.
Stephanie, something you said earlier caught my attention, and I really like this concept. Can you explain a little bit more? When people come to you all for food, they're not just handed a carton or a box with pre-packed stuff in it. They're allowed to basically do essentially their grocery shopping in your facilities. Is that right?
That's exactly what they do. They shop. This concept, it's been around for a long time. We haven't been able to implement. We were one of the first that did implement it. I think second. We remodeled 3.5 years ago, and that's when it went into place. It makes sense. We would find food outside. We would box it up lovely, bag it up, and they would come in and we'd say, "Okay, here's your family of 5. Do you have any allergies?" We would go through that. That's not good enough, though. Nobody wants you to tell them how their family should eat. Whether we differently, whether we eat healthy or junk food or whatnot. It isn't our business to tell them what they should do. And dignity factors there. They're coming in, they're going down where we have 6 to maybe 7 volunteers in the pantry that stand, not guarding them, but assisting them. Like, oh, do you have any allergies? No. Well, maybe this is the can that you need. This one's, you're sugar free, or are you diabetic, whatever. And then they walk down different areas. So they have canned goods, and they have fresh vegetables that we get in daily from the grocery stores. And then they go on to dairy, and then they go on to meat, and then they go on to TFAP, the other foods. But no, and then they'll go on, like, if they need diapers, if we have them. I mean, obviously that's not something we keep in stock all the time. We try, but we do give them resources where they can get. There's 7 places out there that they can get free diapers, Pampers, as we call them. And then they leave with what they want. We're not finding stuff they don't want on the parking lot or at our door, because once it's out there, we're not going to bring it in and give it to anybody else. So this has been very successful, and we're finding they're taking less. They're taking what they will eat, not what we say they should eat. So it's wonderful. It's a dignified program.
Yeah, Stephanie, I've just got a couple minutes left here. And by the way, on the Rumble chat box, I just put the link to Feed My People and their website. Jerome, can we throw that up on the other social media as well? Great. Yeah, thumbs up on that. You've come back a couple times to this term of dignity, and I just want to crush that into people's psyche right here. There are nonprofits out there who do good work, but they judge their success on how many people become dependent on them. What I'm hearing from you is you're judging your success on how many people you enable to be independent and live on their own dignified lives.
Yes.
So success is when they stop being a client for you. Am I reading that right?
Yes, touche. I would love to come on your show in my lifetime and say, guess what? We're closing the doors. Okay, but the reality is people will need assistance perhaps and get on their feet a little bit. That's what they're there for. But the key is they have to have skin in the game. They've got to show up. Even the unhoused, we're like, you better be in here tomorrow morning at this time. Now come on. And then we coach them. And then we talk with them and we build that confidence back up. We all know somebody that's been down on their luck. And who are we to judge? So we try to practice our mission every single day, and that is to serve his people, especially those in need.
All right.
And that's just we do. We do not judge.
Stephanie Berberich, thanks so much. Really appreciate that. And I really appreciate you letting us be a part of this. And that's how I'm looking at it is you're allowing us to be a part of what you're doing. And people want to learn more about what you're doing. Maybe they want to get involved. They want to either donate or volunteer. What's the way to be in touch?
Well, they can go to our website, www.feed-my-people.org. They can call us, 314-631-4900. They can have a personal care drive. Those are things you cannot purchase on food stamps. We're talking bar soap, toilet paper, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes, that kind of thing. They can volunteer. They can bring their kids. They can bring their kids as a family. That is that's just wonderful when you see a family come in and teach them at a young age. We learned at a young age to help others. Shop our thrift stores. My goodness, that supports us 100%. Just or help any. I say this lovingly. We're here for us, Feed My People today. But guess what? There's a whole lot more out there. There's other agencies. We're all in this together. And we serve. It's St. Louis. It's just, I don't know what else I can say. Just for the calling, people are there. It's St. Louis.
Stephanie, great chat with you. Thank you so much. Yep. All right. We put that website out there as well. I encourage you to check it out, look around because it's unique. And that's what I enjoy so much. Stephanie, we'll talk to you again soon.
Great.
Oh, this is your... You can't do that to me. Okay.
We're confused because we're all wearing the same clothes today.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Who's on first?
I was looking at Susie and I'm like, what am I doing on that side of the table? But you know what I would rather be doing right now is looking at all of the amazing requests for Flashback Friday 80s Bum Music requests. This week's theme is just feel good holiday music. Doesn't have to be holiday themed, but just something you can play during the holidays. So go ahead and email me, Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
You're going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010, extension 3 today, or visit colecombs-law.com.
Hey, folks, the Clayton Sleep Institute and my friend Dr. Ojal back supporting free common sense conservative radio. ClaytonSleep.com, treating the full range of adult and pediatric sleep disorders from sleep apnea to insomnia, restless leg syndrome, periodic limb movement, and narcolepsy. What an awesome place. New comfy setting for the sleep lab. ClaytonSleep.com, 314-645-5855. Better sleep, better life.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, President Trump makes his primetime address last night. Did you watch that? If so, send me a note on Rumble or Facebook or whatever. I'm curious what you thought about it. And the Blues, man, they had a tight game that they had against the Jets last night.
Just by a whisker.
Just a little bit. All right, 6:50 right now. Let's go and dump some news on you here.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
Oh, by the way, the Republicans' healthcare bill passed the House yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that would have been the headline news a few weeks ago.
Yeah, the House.
The House, yeah.
Where you got to herd the cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Republicans in the House passed a bill that they say is going to lower insurance costs. 216 to 211 was the final vote there. It does not extend the Obamacare tax credits. And at the Capitol, House Speaker Mike Johnson asked about that, saying this is going to affect the entire healthcare system if it finds its way into law.
It increases the quality of care, the access to care. It gives persons more options, more flexibility in their healthcare. And also it adds transparency. We had the PBM, Pharmacy Benefit Manager transparency piece to it as well.
And among the features on the bill is that it allows basically association health plans that would allow multiple businesses to join together to get group coverage, which bizarrely is still not something that's allowed right now. So,
well, because that would make too much sense. It would make people less dependent on the government. So
I think that 100% is exactly the issue at hand.
Well,
and why Democrats are mad about this, because any chipping away at dependency on government, because if you can create more dependency, eventually you can force single payer healthcare system, and then you've got incredible control over individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Pentagon officials, they showed members of both the House and the Senate Armed Service Committees the unedited video of the second strike against that suspected drug boat on September 2nd. 2 people were killed by the second strike who had survived the initial strike on the boat. And of course, there's a lot of debate and accusations over that. War crimes, stuff like that is what's being thrown around. Senator Eric Schmidt saw the video. He defends the decision by Admiral Frank Bradley to hit the boat again. He was on Fox's America Reports.
It increases the quality of care, the access.
Whoops, wrong one. Let me go to Senator Schmidt here. Here's Senator Eric Schmidt.
They were seeking to turn the boat back over. It was still floating. They knew there were other narco terrorists in the area. They were seeking to join up with them. And so that effort was ongoing.
And there's still a push to get the video released to the public, which I don't have an issue with at all.
No, I mean, if there's some reason why it should be like kept classified from a national security standpoint, okay. But if not, go ahead and release
it. Yep. All right. President Trump highlighting his immigration and economic policies in a primetime speech to the nation last night.
In his primetime address, the president highlighted the core principle of his economic strategy.
Tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs.
He also touted his administration's approach to immigration.
We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country.
The president criticized the Biden-era transgender policies and claimed he was fixing the mess he inherited nearly a year ago. Greg Clugston, Washington.
All right. You had some thoughts on that. I'm going to be really honest. I did not stay up and watch it. There were no big policy things announced. It was basically him assessing his administration and touting what's been done and talking about what he wants to do in the future. But there really wasn't a big policy announcement of anything.
No. I secondhand watched it. By that, I mean, I didn't have the TV on. Yesterday was just a really long day for me from a work standpoint. So I kind of unplugged, but I was monitoring what my people on Red State were just saying about it because we did cover it.
Yeah. And of course, you can get that at redstate.com there as well. Okay. Deputy FBI Director, former News Talk STL host Dan Bongino announcing that he's leaving the agency in January. Yeah. He posted that statement on social media Wednesday. And while Bongino didn't announce any specific plans, President Trump told reporters that he believes Bongino wants to go back to his show. That would be my guess, but I don't know Dan Bongino particularly well. I've had a few conversations with him, but it seems like that would be a logical landing point for him.
I would think so.
Yeah, some people I've seen comments saying that they feel betrayed by Dan Bongino stepping down. So I'm wondering if he does go back to his show, is he going to be able to resume where he left off, or is he going to have to maybe come up with a whole new direction?
I think he starts. He doesn't start where he left off, but he starts maybe at 50% of where he left off. He's got to rebuild.
Yeah, and I think people who think that somehow he's going to get back on the air and then spill the tea about what's really going on in the inner workings, that's not the way it's going to work either. He's probably going to be pretty limited in what he can specifically say.
Right, and he's loyal to the Trump administration.
Yeah, this isn't a bad blood situation as far as that goes.
Okay, so the other big question is, what's going to happen with Andrew Bailey, former Missouri Attorney General? I have a feeling he is going to be elevated in the Trump administration in 2026. He is going to be a key figure in this administration in the next 12 months, is my guess.
I think you're right. Chris Arps and I have a bet over what that role is going to be. Yes. But yes, I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay, here's today's survey results.
Okay.
It's information you probably didn't need to know.
Okay.
May not care about, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
All right.
According to a new survey, a lot of us will not stay up to midnight to ring in the new year. According to an article on the AP's website, 44% of Americans will go to bed before 2026 is actually here.
I've actually done that once.
I will probably be among the 44%. I'm like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed.
I mean, the new year happens every year. I will stay up if it doesn't happen. They decide to add an extra month or something. But
I'll stay up if it doesn't happen.
Blues only got one goal last night, but that is all they needed. They beat the Jets 1-0. Blues are back on the ice tonight, hosting the Rangers at Enterprise, obviously. Puck drops for this one at 7:00.
Winter's coming fast. Is your furnace ready? Johnson Heating and Cooling is here to help. Get our complete furnace checkup for just $99. We'll check for gas leaks, inspect electrical connections, and examine your flue to keep your family safe and warm. We service all brands of equipment, and we're fully licensed and insured. From furnace maintenance to air conditioning service, new installations to repairs. Call 636-332-4141 or visit johnson-heatingandcooling.com.
Hi, this is St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder reminding you to check out my new show this weekend.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
That's me. Every Sunday evening at 5, we will explore with you behind-the-scenes stories and information that you won't hear anywhere else. Plus, we talk to decision makers and influencers that have impact on what's going on in St. Louis County and beyond.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
I'll talk to you Sunday night at 5, only on News Talk STL.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
You are not your diagnosis.
A medical chart is not your identity.
And vision loss does not define you.
Your drive shows who you are.
And you are not alone.
Because we are driven too.
To be a beacon of strength.
A champion of courage.
An advocate for hope.
You are not alone.
Because we are stronger together.
We drive the research for the cures we are finding.
We're fighting macular degeneration,
retinitis pigmentosa,
Usher syndrome,
and the entire spectrum of blinding retinal diseases.
We fund.
We fight.
We win.
We
are the foundation fighting blindness.
Together, we are fighting blindness.
Join the fight at fightingblindness.org.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. America is back stronger than ever before. That's President Trump's assessment. Addressing the nation last night, Mr. Trump touted his economic and immigration policy.
In his primetime address, the president highlighted the core principle of his economic strategy.
Tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs.
He also touted his administration's approach to immigration.
We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country.
The president criticized the Biden-era transgender policies and claimed he was fixing the mess he inherited nearly a year ago. Greg Clugston, Washington.
President Trump says that when it comes to Venezuela, his hard line should have been taken years ago. Mr. Trump accuses the dictatorial socialist Maduro regime of stealing from the U.S.
Land, oil rights, whatever we had, they took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
The Republican-led House has passed a health care bill, one that does not include the additional pandemic-era Obamacare subsidies. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson says the scope of the damage done by historic flooding in his state remains unclear.
The impact on our infrastructure, for example, is profound. There's just really no way to sugarcoat that. And frankly, we don't really even know the full scale of the impact when it comes to our infrastructure and what we're facing until we see those waters finally recede and get a chance to really evaluate what the situation is.
The audio from ComoNews.com. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures are higher. Dow futures are up 76 points. The NASDAQ futures better by 200 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grovich, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether buying or selling, call 821-694. It's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist James Gotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking scattered showers becoming more widespread throughout the mid-morning hours. That'll press off to the east as we get towards the early afternoon. We're going to be tracking wind gusts still, though, up to 35 miles per hour, only cooling as the afternoon goes on. The strong wind gusts start to phase out into Friday morning, but temperatures a lot cooler, up to 40 degrees, mostly sunny. Saturday, looking at 56 degrees, dry, partly cloudy. Sunday, 43. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist James Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no from anyone.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now. Believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Your car is probably spying on you.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, this is bizarre.
At this point, what isn't spying on us?
Pretty much. Or at least it is collecting information about you.
It's just the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But that information is worth a lot of money to somebody.
Okay.
This is creepy as it's creepy. I can't complete
Fruitcake.
I can't complete that sentence.
Fruitcake.
Just saying. 7:05 going on 7:06 right now. I saw this article in Missouri Net.
Mm-hmm.
Congressman Eric Burleson has filed a bill. Now stay with me here because this is really something. It has to do with your vehicle collecting personal data on you. So because almost all cars are now equipped with monitoring capable devices, your GPS, I mean, you know, your phone has a GPS in it, which is one of the ways if somebody's missing, they go ping where your phone is.
Sure.
That's one of the ways you do it. Well, your car does the same thing as well. I mean, when I park my car somewhere, it's pretty common. I'll park it, I'll lock it, I'll walk into wherever I'm going, and I'll get an alert on my phone that says your car is registered or your car is listed as parked at this location.
Mm-hmm.
So your car is, somebody knows where that is or something knows where the car is. And so Congressman Burleson has filed a bill to basically ensure that we give permission for that, because here's what's happening right now. Your location, your driving habits are being sold to insurance companies and to other interested parties by the car company. So you buy the car, you may own it outright, but they're still collecting data. And in some cases, they believe they can collect biometric data, including fingerprints, depending on whether what you touch on your car, which I didn't even know we were there yet on this. But you've probably clicked somewhere or signed in the contract to buy the car or to buy the whatever service somewhere in there that allows them to collect this, and then they own it and then they sell it. But one of those is like insurance companies as well, which could track where you go, how fast you got there, what your braking patterns are, and then use that for whatever it is they're going to do with it. Creepy.
So there's two ways I'm looking at this. I already do all that because I'm signed up with the Drive Safe and Save program through
Right.
my insurance company.
But that's voluntary.
Correct.
Yeah.
I signed up for it. I basically signed my life away to them and said, you can, and I can go look in the app and it'll tell you, oh, you're doing some kind of hard breaks there, or yeah, you might want to slow your speed down. And I did willingly sign up for that, but to get the discount. But you're right. I did that knowingly. But that's the kind of information that you're saying the cars themselves are collecting and then selling to different insurers so that they can, which is, yeah, that is weird. We're all kind of getting a little numb to the idea of living in a surveillance state, which is why we can't believe they haven't identified the brown shooter. But it should be something that you are knowingly and voluntarily agreeing to, not just surreptitiously.
So in 2023, there was a study done by something called the Mozilla Foundation, which I'm going to admit I'm not familiar with.
No,
they did.
They're the people that do like Firefox, like the browser.
Oh, got it. Okay,
right. That's the only time I've ever seen that.
Yep. So they found that 92% of car makers do not properly disclose that they can track where you drive, how you drive, and at least some biometric information. Industry projections estimate car manufacturers could make as much as $750 billion by 2030 by selling your data. So 5 years from now, they could be making $750 billion by selling you a product, tracking how you use it after you buy it, and then selling that information about you.
Again, if they do that on the up and up and let you know they're doing that and you voluntarily agree to it, that's one thing. If it's kind of hidden, it's another. And the only thing I will say is if there's no way to get away from it, if all of them do that, what are your options?
Buy a classic muscle car off Facebook Marketplace, fix it up, and have no electronics other than the starter.
I mean, so let's compare this to when it first started creeping in. So like John Deere tractors, for example, have a specific way that they've made it to where you cannot repair your own tractors.
Yeah, right to repair. Right? Yeah, they oppose right to repair. Yeah.
And then we've been seeing that at least when I bought a pre-owned vehicle, there's no way on earth I will probably ever buy a new vehicle unless I hit like the mega billion jackpot. But the car market for the used market, they will sometimes do a little bit of fixing up, but they overprice them to be competitive with brand new prices. So have we gotten to the point where we've just rewarded phone companies and computer companies and app companies and all these other companies and made it profitable to allow them to take our data? And this is just the world we've sort of enabled.
I think one of the biggest parts of this is what you said, Susie. We're just numb to it. We're like, everybody does it. Big George Orwell was right. And we just adapt, and we don't even think about, our personal information or privacy. But the reality is that we are the product right now that's being sold.
Well, that's your social media.
Right.
You're the product. The reason it's free to use Facebook and Twitter and all the other stuff is because you're what's being sold. I mean, we do, I don't know. There's a point at which we are voluntarily surrendering our privacy, but that again it should be voluntary. It should be knowing. This should be disclosed up front. I'm just thinking in terms of, the way this is advancing. I don't know that you get away from this being a feature of any, major automaker.
Yeah, because it's all of them.
Because it's all
right.
So
it's
how
basically all of them. Yeah.
But if there would be protections, I mean, I would be in favor of a law that says this has to be openly disclosed that they're doing this, and maybe there should be a way to opt out. I don't know.
Well, and I think the way I'm understanding Eric's bill, Congressman Burleson's bill, is that it must be disclosed basically separately and predominantly. I mean, is right in front of you, and it says it has to be a meaningful disclosure, meaning it's not buried in the fine print. You see clearly what they're going to do to where the average person understands it, and you can opt in, is the way I understand it. But he says cars now are basically data harvesters.
Sure.
And so
Anything
basically,
is.
he was saying you would have to voluntarily basically do what you did with the insurance company, but you would have to know about it. And then you would have to voluntarily, and they have to go out of their way basically to make you understand we're collecting information and we're selling it about you.
Does it give you the ability to opt out, to not participate, and to protect your information?
Well, the way that I understand it is they wouldn't be allowed to do it unless you opt in.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's like, it's one thing if you know about it. It's another if you have
Yeah.
the ability to do anything about it.
Now, would this be considered potentially government intervention into the free market in an overstep? Because for sake of argument, let's say that the data that they're gathering on people's driving habits and stuff could lead to maybe a better system of traffic. Maybe they're noticing stuff like that, or maybe safer vehicles, stuff of that nature. So would it not be then the government telling the free market, hey, you can't do that? Is that a problem, or is this a good example?
That's an interesting question, because I think what Congressman Burleson, I've known the guy for like 20 years.
Right, I know.
So, I think his bill is not saying they can't do it. They just have to be transparent, and you have to agree to it.
Right.
That I think is what he's saying. For instance, I had a meeting when I was working at a think tank a long time ago with the director of MoDOT, and it was an unofficial kind of off the record thing. But one of the things he was describing to me and the other people in the room, and I think there were 5 of us in there, is just what you mentioned as far as traffic patterns and things. Do you know how they sense when there's a traffic problem and they know to dispatch somebody right away? Because even if your phone is off, it's being located. There's a GPS locator in your phone. Now, he called it metadata, meaning that they don't know specifically who the person is. That's what he claimed. But that all of a sudden, if say you're on I-70 and everybody's phone goes from 70 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour, they can pinpoint almost basically in real time, there's a problem there, send somebody out.
Which makes sense, because if you look at a traffic app,
that's all they're doing.
That's what they're, I mean,
right. That's what they're
doing. It's not
doing.
because a bunch of people are in their cars saying, I'm stuck.
Nope.
It's because the data is.
Right. Because they're tracking the movement of your phone. That's how, that's a great point. You get on your, when you get on your Maps app, that's how they know almost to the uncanny, down to the minute, when you are going to arrive at your destination, because they're judging how fast and where all the other phones are traveling in those cars. So in this case right here, though, they're tracking with a record that Susie Moore went from wherever to NewsTalkSTL's address, and you drove this many miles an hour, and you safely stopped at this stoplight or stop sign, or you rolled through this one, and all sorts of other things. And a lot of
Mike choked up in the process.
I know, man. And so, a lot of it seems like innocuous. You're like, well, I don't care if they know that I stopped at the stoplight. But then where does it go from here? Did you sign over, or did you unwittingly sign over something that would prevent the government from needing to go get a warrant to track your location or track where you've been? And is there a privacy issue that you've signed off on and you allow a car company to sell or give away, because the government can go to them and say, hey, Hyundai, Kia, Ford, whoever, I want to know where Jeep, I want to know where Jerome was. And you've signed it over to give Jeep ownership of that data. And they go, all right, there you go. And they didn't have to get a warrant.
Well, I intentionally try to make my data as worthless and crazy as possible, so it's hard to actually get a read on me. And I wrap my Jeep in tin foil so they can't track me that way. But to my knowledge, when it comes to there's never been an assumption of privacy in public.
Right.
And it feels very much like the government and corporations are both simultaneously trying to find as many ways to abuse that. I wouldn't call it a loophole, because that's always been the way that it is when it comes to the Fifth Amendment. But it definitely feels gross. And I guess the only real thing we can do about it, besides, having people like, Burleson propose legislation, is, we need to take our consumer habits more seriously then, right? Is that really because there's not really a legal basis for us to be able to say, hey,
No, I mean, this legislation might give you something to hang your hat on, but ultimately it's about personal responsibility and recognizing what you are agreeing to and what you aren't agreeing to.
Yeah.
I don't know. We are coming towards the end of 2025. It's coming fast.
Yeah.
But let's review. Tell us what surprised you the most in 2025. We're going to start with what surprised you the most on the right among conservatives coming up at 7:20.
Try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough.
Colombo and Company.
A federal appeals court ruled that Trump can continue to deploy National Guard troops in D.C., a big win for the administration that we'll discuss Thursday. Plus, Senator Nick Schroer and Dr. Randy Tobler.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL. JC's Sunday Showgram.
This week, we crack open more of our Christmas library.
Can you talk to me a little bit about what you remember about doing It's a Wonderful Life?
Well, it's my favorite, and it's Frank Capra's favorite.
If it's been said, sung, or joked about, we'll have it Sunday morning. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Thank you, JC. Thank you. Enjoyed talking.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on NewsTalkSTL.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer. If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. And speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, this has been a weird year.
Yeah, it has.
I think they're all weird years now at this point.
I trace it back to Harambe.
Okay, so Republicans came into 2025 in control of all branches of the federal government. Obviously, in complete control of the Missouri government, zero control of the Illinois government whatsoever. But let's talk about not just Republicans, but the right. So the conservative movement, the freedom movement, MAGA, and again, there's some overlap, but the conservative movement, MAGA are two different things. There's a little bit of overlap, but there's two different things. The Republican Party, there's overlap, among all of them. So when you look at just the right in general, you look back at 2025, here's the question that kind of popped into my mind today. What happened, development, event, something on the right that surprised you the most? And that could be surprised good, surprised bad, surprised other, but you just didn't see that one coming, and it was really surprising. And by the way, 314-912-1019, or send us a note on Facebook comments or Rumble chat box or tweet at us or whatever. I'm just curious as to what surprised you the most in 2025 on the right.
Me?
Yeah, you may want to go first.
Yeah, I mean, my problem is I've got several things.
Yeah.
I mean, event-wise, without question, the Charlie Kirk assassination. I mean,
without a doubt.
That was just,
Yeah.
I think goes without saying. In terms of developments, culturally, whatever, is the rise of anti-Semitism on the right.
Yeah.
Now, I knew that there were pockets of it, but the fact that there are people being platformed that are really like full on embracing that disturbs and surprises me.
See, that was my answer. It is how much on the right that anti-Semitism has taken hold. Now, I still think it's the minority on the right,
Oh yeah,
without a doubt. But there are the pockets of it that have outright embraced it and platformed it.
and are trying to capitalize on it.
Right,
That's the
capitalize
thing.
it. And then I've been surprised at how many prominent figures have reacted by saying, "Yeah, no big deal. Yeah, we need to work with these people. Hey, we got to win. It's not great, but we'll." No. That's not conservative. Anti-Semitism is not conservative. Racial bigotry is not conservative. That's what the left does. But when you look at how so many people pushed back against those who were calling out anti-Semitism, and to some degree, let's be honest, racism too.
True.
And how many people, said, no, you know what? Those people have something to say. Let's hear them out. There's a reason so many people are following him. Maybe no, absolutely not.
Yeah, and I think a big part of the problem is that for so long there's been the stereotype, the negative stereotype, and the name calling and everything from the left. That there's this natural defensiveness and this almost impulse to fight back and say, "All right, you're going to call me that? Well, I guess I'll just kind of throw that in your face." I kind of get where that comes from. But yeah, no, I mean, there's you've got to have your boundaries. You got to have your standards. And I really think it kind of all gets into people falling prey to the cult of personality. You follow certain influencers, you follow certain people, and you really respect them. And then they maybe kind of veer off in a direction and you follow them down the rabbit hole. That's, I think, a big part of the problem.
Corporeal Being says the new divisions on the right are also, and more specifically, how surprisingly quick it has developed. And I would also incorporate into that, President Trump going after Thomas Massey, Chip Roy,
Rand
Rand Paul, and some of those types of folks. I think that was probably one of the bigger things that surprised me as well. Is just we had such a good trajectory on the train going in the beginning, and then at some point it derailed, and now it seems like everybody's scrambling to figure out how to get it back on the right track.
Now, I was tempted when that question came into my head to say the fall of the Heritage Foundation, but that doesn't
parcel of that kind of.
Yes, I was gonna say, but then I thought about it a little more. I'm like, we've seen that coming for years. The Heritage Foundation just simply is not what it used to be. And they used to be the stalwart of conservatism, and they sold their principles out a long time ago. There are some good people who work at the Heritage Foundation. There's a lot of people I like, and they're doing good work there. But as a whole, the Heritage Foundation becoming essentially bankrupt at a leadership level and becoming essentially irrelevant to actual conservative thought. We've all seen it coming for the last few years, but that was a big development, just not one that surprised me that much.
I think a positive surprise. Now I've been overall pleased with the cabinet. This time around versus Trump 1.0, I've been, it's not that I agree with everything that each one of them do. There's times when but overall I have been pleased with this cabinet. But Marco Rubio, I think, has been a tremendous standout in his role as Secretary of State and 8,000 other jobs that he holds. I just really think he's shined.
I think one of the big reasons that he's done so well is it turns out he was so popular within the Senate that he's been able to keep a lot of support and a lot of people on the same page. He's turned out to be a much stronger Secretary of State than I thought he was going to be.
Lil Marco.
Yeah. What about you, Jerome?
I guess when it comes specifically to the administration, it has been a bit of a mixed bag. Dan Bongino stepping away. I think that was something I could maybe foresee down the line. I just did not expect it to happen this quickly. And then again, the flip-flopping on the Epstein files. First, we're going to release them. Then we have them on the desk. Then we don't actually have them. It's all Democrat hoax, and you're a stupid Republican if you believe in it. And by the way, that is real, but we need to stall on why we're releasing just a lot of that stuff. I think really, and that probably goes into why there is such a rift developing now. I've been pretty impressed with Tulsi Gabbard so far. I'm still disappointed that they kept announcing, former President Obama apparently did some treasonous stuff, and he's still free out there. There have not been arrests from the Bondi, Pam Bondi being an AG. So I think that's potentially, I think it's all interconnected to some degree. Kash Patel not doing the best when it comes to some of the FBI stuff, I think has also been, I actually thought he was going to be probably a stronger pick than a lot of people think he's been doing. And then again, Andrew Bailey becoming, getting snagged up, Justin Sparks going to the Department of Homeland Security. I mean, it's great promotions, but I kind of want our good representatives to stay in our state.
That's selfish on our part. Yeah.
And I don't have the connections that potentially either one of you guys have. So I don't know what's being said behind there. So for me, that was a surprise, but you guys probably may have even seen that coming.
Not necessarily that. Something that just occurred to me that's been a big surprise to me is the degree to which so much of the judiciary is willing to go so far out over its skis just to oppose Trump. Some of the decisions. Now, I want to be clear about something. Trump is making big changes. He is making bold moves. And I'm not surprised that they're being challenged in court because that's one of the tools that the left has. What I'm surprised about is the fact that so many of particularly the district court judges have lost their ever-loving minds. It's basically what I come to think when I read their opinions. It's not, hey, I don't agree with this and here's why. It's all these long, flowery, poetic, weird opinions that it's like, what is wrong with you? Do your job. You can rule against them, but you don't have to do it the way you are. I mean, we're just seeing them just kind of going all in on it.
Cite which law you believe was violated and why.
Right.
Cite which part of the Constitution was violated and cite why. Right. And if you can't do that,
it's like they're all taking the bait and exposing themselves in the process.
Now, 101 says that he's disappointed yet again at the fecklessness of conservatives, which sounds like something that we've all probably had a little bit of frustration with.
At the national level.
Yeah,
I think the conservatives are delivering on the Missouri state side.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the national level, I would argue the Republican Party is not conservative anymore.
And Vicky does not like Pam Bondi. She was a wrong choice. And I think that also is one of the surprising things as well is for some of the people that I've talked to that have been on the Trump train much longer than I have, is that they were quite surprised that Pam Bondi, I mean, it was originally, I think, supposed to be Matt Gaetz.
Supposed to be Matt Gaetz,
but then, that
which would have been a disaster, by the way. Can I tell you that would have been an absolute
not have been good. Would not have been good.
Complete and utter crap show.
Now, I think that the thing that probably disappoints me a little bit more than it might for you is that Marjorie Taylor Greene stepping down.
Yeah, it's the Marjorie Taylor Greene being weird doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, I was never a fan of hers, and back it's kind of funny how things change because a few years ago I'm like, I think she's nuts, and everybody got mad at me. She's a MAGA, supporter of she's, and I haven't changed my opinion on her. I still think she's nuts, and now everybody's mad at her because she's in a conflict with the president.
She is engaged.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Now she did get the anti grooming and anti-mutilation bill passed. So you give her credit for that.
Absolutely.
It's not that she doesn't do anything good. I just think she's a weirdo.
I think that we need more people with that sort of spirit, even if she's a little out there. I mean, there are a lot of, look at the left, obviously. You can tell that a lot of our representatives are unfortunately kind of kooky, but people that have that fire in them for what I think she believes is a very good cause. We need more of that. And that's why I think it's disappointing that she threw in the towel and stepped down.
She wanted to spend more time at the gym.
Now, where we're not stepping down is when it comes to the fight for school choice and for getting our public education system back on track. And one of the ways we're doing that is a school district in St. Louis is backing off some of the indoctrination. But you can find out why coming up at 7:35 after Larry Connor's commentary.
If you know, you know. That's all I'm saying.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking scattered showers becoming more widespread throughout the mid-morning hours. That'll press off to the east as we get towards the early afternoon. We're going to be tracking wind gusts still, though, up to 35 miles per hour, only cooling as the afternoon goes on. The strong wind gusts start to phase out into Friday morning, but temperatures a lot cooler, up to 40 degrees, mostly sunny. Saturday, looking at 56 degrees, dry, partly cloudy. Sunday, 43. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
John Bill Roofing reminds you we are in the stormy season, and that means if you have even the smallest leak in your roof, you could soon have a much bigger issue. Call to John Bill to make sure that your biggest investment is protected. That call can save you major dollars. If you do get hit during a storm, John Beal has a rapid response team. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, John Beal.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit vincentsjewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
It's a shame. No, make that a damn shame when leftists go abroad and from some foreign country slam our nation. One of the latest examples, Cardi B. You know who she is? Female rapper with the most #1 singles, as if I care, or you care. She made that history and the money because of her career in our nation. Now she's in Saudi Arabia, telling her 164 million idiot followers, I don't know that I feel that I'm appreciated in America. Y'all want me to come back? Y'all need to beg me. But why should I return to ghetto America? Here in Saudi Arabia, I haven't seen a single bum. They treat me like a queen. Of course, she's not getting the real picture of Saudi Arabia. She's getting the star view. And there was a time when she would not perform in the Middle East because of restrictions and punishment against gays. But now she wants to live in the Middle East. So much for conviction and support of LGBTQ. She added, just follow the rules, you'll be fine. You can't wear a cross, they'll put you under the jail. So here's another example of someone who found fame and fortune in our country, but can't wait to get to another country, stand on a pulpit and complain. I could care less if she returns. Am I too callous? Jealous? No, I just do not like Americans making a good life in our nation, then turning their back on the USA.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Complete pest protection starts with Buckingham Pest Control, your award-winning, locally owned pest control and insulation experts. Jamie Allman here, and Buckingham's experienced certified technicians arrive in fully marked vehicles ready to tackle residential or commercial pest problems, termite inspections, and even wild animal removal. Need new attic insulation? Don't miss out on year-end federal tax credits too. BuckinghamPestControl.com. That's BuckinghamPestControl.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine in or carry out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Let me start out by saying we should not have to keep fighting these battles, but at least there is some good news to report.
Yes.
So I like that part of it. A local school district is backing off from at least some LGBTQ plus 1, 2, 3 EIO indoctrination, or whatever they're adding to it these days. And it's right here in the St. Louis area. And this is an update to something we actually talked about, I want to say a couple months ago. And we're joined now by Mary Catherine Martin from the Thomas More Society. And this is a big deal, Mary Catherine. Appreciate you being back on the program here. We're talking about the Kirkwood School District, and we've called them out, for a lot of their sort of indoctrination nonsense. But they were really going above and beyond when it comes to the LGBT, essentially curriculum almost, that they were putting in. What is it that you pushed back on and they're backing off now? What does that mean?
Well, thanks for having me. And this was in late October. I wish this were actually exceptional, but I think it's pretty typical. They among school districts, from what I understand, they showed an announcement, quote unquote, video on October the 23rd to an entire middle school worth of students. And they first, stepping back even further, they first produced this video using a class full of students, a media class of some kind, presumably. And this video was a 3.5-minute propaganda piece about LGBTQ plus History Month, recounting the history of the Pride movement as if it were the Civil Rights movement, talking about how Pride is about being proud of your identity. It's about being true to yourself. It's about equality and kindness and your right to be yourself. And the narrators were all students. And they did all of this, showed it to the entire middle school. These are 12-year-olds,
Mm-hmm.
Right after, right during the school announcements, right after a message from the principal about, Spirit Week, as if it were just information they needed. And they didn't tell any of the parents, including even the parents of the kids who were involved in making the video. They have a legal obligation to give parents a notice and an opportunity to opt out before they show this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So apparently we've got Selma and then we've got the Grove,
Yeah.
A lot of distance between
that's
there.
right.
Mary Catherine.
Definitely. And, it was covered in just the pictures of all these people half naked and painted in rainbow flags. Anyway, you were going to ask?
Yeah, I was going to ask. So, obviously they should be alerting parents, but apparently that was not done here. What should parents be looking for? What questions should they be asking of their kids and of the schools?
And this is exactly why I was happy that you had me back on, because parents should know, as we informed Kirkwood School District, and they apparently did not know, that although we've always had free exercise rights, free exercise of our religion, the Supreme Court has recently clarified the strength of those rights and our ability to enforce them against school districts. So we are in a bit of a changed world here, where parents have more power than they realized. And so it's really important, we don't have rights unless we assert them. So the Thomas More Society wants to be very, very clear with parents that there are two things you have a right to here under this new Supreme Court decision. And this is specifically objections on the basis of religion, because it is a free exercise right. One, the school district cannot show material, any material, instruction or materials that promotes ideas that they should know will violate the religious freedom of parents. Okay, so when they know a topic is commonly something that religions object to, like LGBTQ plus, which was what was specifically at issue in the case, they owe parents the right before, and this is whether they've submitted an opt-out, whatever they know about you. This is all parents. They owe you notice and an opportunity to opt out. So if your school district is showing material like this without telling you, then you should call us, because we can assert your rights to that and force them to, like we did here, and inform your school district of the right, your right to opt out. And then secondly, you do have a right to opt out, and that's on the basis of anything that violates your religious beliefs. So whether or not the school district knows that in your particular religion or in your family, you have a religious objection to something, if you make that clear to the school district, they have an obligation to follow that opt-out. They no longer can just say, I'm sorry, you can only opt out of sex ed and surveys, right? They now have to listen to what you say and develop alternative instruction. And this is the real power, because if parents, religious parents, were to do this across a broad scale, then it should make it extremely costly for school districts to engage in this kind of behavior, right? It should become too expensive for them to be, opting everybody out of it, all the different things. And hopefully they will start teaching things that nobody objects to, like math. Right. I mean, that's the power that parents have now.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the important distinction here is the aspect of the values assertion. I mean, so we're not talking about, I don't want my kid to learn long division. I don't want my kid to learn semicolons. We're not talking about that.
Right.
We're talking about things that are values based, and there are certainly controversial topics in history without any sort of question about that. But where is that line? Is this essentially, because to some degree you're talking about subjectivity, but I'm hearing you say that subjectivity is in the hands of the parents, and the schools work for the parents, and the schools have to deal with it. It's not on the burden of the parents to convince them.
Correct. The parents have to inform the school, but the school does not get to doubt the validity of your religious beliefs. Now, they are allowed to discuss controversial topics. This is not about telling Kirkwood School District they can't have this video. It's about telling Kirkwood School District they have to tell parents first, and parents have to decide whether their children are going to be involved here. And where they don't, they can be sued. And, unfortunately, our school districts, that seems to be the only language that they listen to. You're not going to get any relief from calling them and asking them for anything. You have to, unfortunately, have a right of action. And so it's good. It's sad, but it's good that parents have this that they can assert. If they call us, we can help them assert their rights against the school district. And yes, the material has to be delivered in a way that is, the Supreme Court called it unmistakably normative. So in this case, it was clearly a celebration of these ideas. So, you are not free from any presentation of any idea that anyone ever disagrees with, but these things have to be presented by the school district as one of many, as part of a controversy, et cetera. It can't be presented as with pressure to conform. That's the words that that the Supreme Court used.
Mary Catherine, this I'm not sure how to ask this question. You said the language that they're speaking, what they're hearing is the language of litigation. And as a recovering lawyer myself, I speak that language. I appreciate that language. But obviously, we don't want to be in a spot where that is the go-to. I mean, that should be the last resort. There should be other mechanisms by which parents and the community can, in a positive way, encourage school districts and school boards to refocus on what the basics and what they should be teaching. I mean, do you have any suggestions or ideas about how we can go about that, so that, not to knock Thomas More Society or lawyers at all, but just so that we're the last resort as opposed to the first line of defense?
Oh, I 100% agree. We can't sue for every parent in the country. Like, unfortunately, one or two lawsuits are often necessary to get people to do what they should do. But here's what they should do. If in light of this particular decision, for these rights, school districts should adopt a policy that processes opt-outs efficiently, and then they should acknowledge the cost of using this kind of propaganda in schools, and they should just drop it, right? Because if they have large numbers of people objecting, that is a sign that this is not an appropriate use of school resources. So that's one thing, is the opt-out policy. The opt-out process here is designed to take care of these things without litigation. Okay, a school district should just follow this. But in general, unfortunately, parents, the electoral process of school board members is unfortunately one of the only things that's available to parents short of litigation. And even litigation is only available in very, very narrow areas, because so many of the laws that apply to school districts have to be enforced by public authorities, and there's no will to prosecute a school, or teachers. And look, I have no will personally to litigate against teachers, but parents need to have their voices heard, or they cannot trust the school enough to send their kids there.
Mary Catherine, I've just got a minute or so left here. So let me ask you, the Kirkwood School District backing down off this, good thing. How are we enforcing that? How are we making sure that they're going to follow through with their word? Because I'm one of those who believes the K through 12 public education system in this country has just been completely captured by the ideological left. How do we make sure they're going to follow through with what they're saying that they're going to do?
Well, and that's where you guys come in, is getting this out to parents so that parents know what to watch for, right? Well, Thomas More Society can't be monitoring, but I'm 100% with you on being, I'll believe it when I see it in terms of their compliance going forward. We're engaged in another lawsuit about public records against Kirkwood School District, where they actively try to avoid being seen, even in what's in their curriculum, and even to parents, maybe especially to parents. So in Kirkwood, we're lucky. Thomas More Society is lucky to have, and Kirkwood parents are lucky to have an organization that we represent called Kirkwood for Educational Integrity, which is a parents' rights organization, not particularly religious rights, but those two. And they have a website, and it's a watchdog website, and it reports what people report to them, and they report out what's going on in Kirkwood schools. Parents do need to be, sometimes, unfortunately, they need to be organized in this way. They are the ones who can see what's happening with their kids. And so we do need to watch for these violations. And then, this was just a letter. We sent a letter and they responded. So the next time they do it, we will have to send another letter. And if it becomes a pattern, then that's when it turns into litigation. And so, unfortunately, we need to watch vigilantly. And we need to, but the thing is, we have more rights now. It's not just a matter of watching and complaining to the school board, right? We have more that we can do to assert those same rights.
All right. And we learn more about what you're doing at Thomas More Society, and your all statement on this is on that website as well. How do they get in touch?
That's right. ThomasMoreSociety.org. More is like more fun, 1-0. Get in touch if you are having this kind of activity in your school district and you have asked for it to be addressed and it's not being addressed. We'd like to hear from you. We'll do the best we can to help as many people as we can.
Thanks so much, Mary Catherine.
All right. Thanks so much to you guys.
All right. Dan Bongino just made a big announcement. We're going to get your thoughts on that. We'll talk about that a little bit more coming up right after this.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Speaking to David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute, tell Chris and I about Waymo, these robo-taxis.
That is pretty obvious that these cars are much safer than human-driven cars. And much like I like horses, I like humans.
Dave, my God, man, they're killing cats.
I'm not an expert, but I do believe in the history of America that probably some human driving a car has also run over a cat.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
The perfect body, the perfect face. It's like God's best work, all in one place. For the haters ain't perfection, can't you say? It's a burden being wonderful like me.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
All right, Dan is stepping down from the FBI after less than a year as deputy director. What do you want to see him do, and how can he have an impact moving forward. It is 7:51 right now. You know, we love to promote our one-stop shop for news and opinion, of course. Susie, what is hot on Red State today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Well, it's the holiday season, right? We're kind of finding out what people do for their holiday traditions, including some of the spouses of cabinet members. Katie Jerkovich has a kind of cool little cultural piece up. It's titled "The Wives of Trump's Cabinet Members Give Peek into Their Truly Unique Holiday Traditions," and you get to see like Cheryl Hines and the wives of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, Marco Rubio's wife, that sort of thing, and what they're doing to celebrate their holiday traditions. It's kind of cool, a little inside peek. Also, the president went on the air last night and touted his administration's success, the economic success. Vice President J.D. Vance was in Allentown, Pennsylvania earlier this week to give a speech there, kind of touting the economic success and where this administration is going. Our own Adam Turner was at that event and reported to us on that. You want to check out his piece, kind of giving a rundown on that.
Have you noticed the administration spending a lot of time in Pennsylvania?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have. Yep. Now, it's convenient. It is convenient, but I think there's a strategy there.
There's something to that.
And then this one is a good little piece of good news from our own Terry Christoph. A deep blue state, Massachusetts, actually redid its policy on allowing people of faith to be part of the foster program because there was an LGBTQ stipulation that they were supposed to have to sign. They've walked that back. You want to check out that piece titled, "Whoa, Deep Blue State Deals Massive Blow to Trans Agenda, Acts as LGBTQIA+ Mandate."
Yeah, I read that story. That is a big deal. So check that one out. That's fascinating. All right, 7:53 right now. Dan Bongino announces stepping down from the FBI in January. So some point in the next few weeks, he's going to step down. Looks like everybody's leaving on good terms.
Yeah.
We obviously don't know, why he's deciding to do that. The president says, I think he wants to go back to his show, which was one of the absolute biggest shows in the country, conservative or not, just one of the biggest media programs in the country. And then he walked away from millions and millions, maybe tens of millions of dollars to go serve in the FBI with the Trump administration. So I never thought that he'd spend, all 4 years, 3.5 years at the FBI, but he's stepped in a little faster. I think what a lot of people were going to do. So there's going to be a lot of people to speculate, what went wrong? Well, maybe nothing, maybe he was there to do a certain thing and it's done. Maybe he is frustrated, I don't know. That's one thing, but then here's the question is what is it that Dan Bongino has to offer now? I mean, where do you think he can have a big impact?
I just think the obvious answer is going back to his show. He had a very, very successful podcast. He had a very successful media career. And I think that's what people are expecting. And I think that's where he's, going to be the most productive.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And yeah, so we're, I would guess that he will go back to the media.
Yeah.
As well. That would be my guess. He walked, I don't know how many hundreds of radio stations were carrying Dan Bongino, but keep in mind that that's not the only part of his podcast and his video and his presence in that digital space was just massive. So he'll be able to pick up a lot of that. I mean, if he immediately relaunches the Dan Bongino show in the first week of January, he immediately starts off with millions of viewers and listeners.
Yes.
Right away. Does he go back to all those hundreds of radio stations right away? Well, they've put other stuff on.
Yeah.
So he would get some of them back. I don't know if he'd get all of them back.
Right.
But I think there'd be a big appetite for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
What do you think, Jerome?
It's definitely going to be difficult depending on, I mean, he has that brand recognition, and of all the people within the administration, Dan Bongino is the person that consistently his name comes up for his credibility and his integrity. So I hope that he's able to, if he does go back to the show, he's able to regain the momentum that he built and go back to benefiting from all the hard work he's done. But again, I'm seeing a lot of people that feel sort of betrayed, and they're questioning, what did he even do within the administration? So is it going to be something where you're not going to be able to capture that lightning in a bottle again?
That's a really good question. Ask us again in 3 months.
Exactly.
To see where that's at.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my good friend Harry Parker and the ultimate seafood dining experience at Gulf Shores, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com. Gulf Shores offering a unique dining experience with a vast, mouth-watering menu of all of your favorite delicious dishes, something for everyone's taste or palate. 3 convenient locations, Edwardville, Creve Coeur, and St. Peter's. Dine in, carry out. They've got a food truck, too. Friendly staff. Looking forward to seeing you, making your dining experience one you will remember. Gulf Shores RestaurantandGrill.com.
Hey, how you doing? Santa Vic here.
And Santa's head, Vic head. Here.
Right. And you can win some great prizes with News Talk STL's St. Louis Conservative Christmas.
You forgot the ho-ho-ho. What? You forgot the ho-ho-ho.
Oh!
No, ho-ho.
Oh!
Log on to NewsTalkSTL.com for your chance to win great prizes from Ami's Pizzeria and Restaurants, Small Cakes Cupcakery and Creamery, and Gulf Shores Restaurant, Food Truck and Catering. NewsTalkSTL.com.
Oh!
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. On behalf of Tim Jones and I just want to thank you for making Jeffco Patriot Radio the #1 listened to show on Sundays here on News Talk STL, where we dive into all the things happening in and around Jefferson County. Check Tim Jones and I out on Jeffco Patriot Radio this and every Sunday at high noon here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Looking for unbelievable deals? Stop by Overstock Outlet in Lake St. Louis or Warrenton. Open 7 days a week. Discover big savings on a huge variety of merchandise with no hassle. Just great prices. Visit us in Lake St. Louis on Highway N or in Warrenton on Booms Lake. Check out our Facebook page at Overstock Outlet Lake St. Louis or go online to OverstockOutletSTL.com. Unbeatable value, friendly service, and you never know what we'll have at Overstock Outlet.
This is the sound of confidence soaring.
Our mission is to educate, inspire, and honor.
This is the sound of honor roaring.
We should never, never forget those that gave their lives.
This is the sound of a generation rising above.
337 for Bravo Fox Papa. We want to be involved in the education of young people so that they can take our aircraft and the stories that our pilots tell and realize their own dreams.
The Commemorative Air Force honors the heroes of yesterday while educating and inspiring the heroes of tomorrow.
Your future and how you live your life is dependent on how you think.
You can learn more at soundsofhistory.org right now.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rex Thomason. A better than expected readout on inflation. It slowed last month with consumer prices rising 2.7% from a year ago, according to the just released Consumer Price Index. Inflation cooled more than many analysts had been expecting, and Wall Street futures are higher. President Trump says he's done a lot since taking office a second time, and there's a lot more to do.
11 months ago, I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it.
Addressing the nation from the White House last night, the president pointed to the most secure border in history and prices that are coming down. Big change on the way at the nation's premier law enforcement agency.
The FBI's Deputy Director Dan Bongino confirms he will resign from the Bureau in January. In a post on X, he said he was grateful for the opportunity to serve with purpose. Bongino had previous experience as a New York City police officer and a Secret Service agent, but when he was appointed in March, he was best known as the host of a successful conservative podcast. During his brief tenure, Bongino clashed with Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Justice Department over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Jennifer King, Washington.
Ahead of its holiday break, the Senate has passed a massive annual defense bill.
The legislation, called the National Defense Authorization Act, authorizes $901 billion in defense programs. Among other things, it raises troop pay by nearly 4%. The policy bill also demands more information on recent boat strikes in the Caribbean, requires that the U.S. keep its troop levels in Europe at current levels, and sends some military aid to Ukraine.
Correspondent Craig Clugston. President Trump has announced a $1,776 Warrior dividend for members of the military. He says the checks are already in the mail. Dow futures up 246, NASDAQ futures 347 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This message is for anyone looking for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance, even if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or taking anxiety meds. Here's an example. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe overweight with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost about $200 a month. We're Term Provider, experts in finding affordable term life insurance for those that may not be in perfect health. If you've had prostate cancer, heart conditions, high cholesterol, or on prescription medications, you may still qualify for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance. Get a quick quote by calling Term Provider at 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085. If you're looking for term life insurance but have type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, or have other health issues, call Term Provider at 800-555-2085 or visit termprovider.com. Termprovider.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking scattered showers becoming more widespread throughout the mid-morning hours. That'll press off to the east as we get towards the early afternoon. We're going to be tracking wind gusts still, though, up to 35 miles per hour, only cooling as the afternoon goes on. The strong wind gusts start to phase out into Friday morning, but temperatures a lot cooler, up to 40 degrees, mostly sunny. Saturday, looking at 56 degrees, dry, partly cloudy. Sunday, 43. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. This holiday season, help Feed My People fill the shelves. News Talk STL and the STL County GOP are partnering for an annual food drive, November 10th through December 21st. Drop off your non-perishable food donations at all Bartolino's restaurants, all Chris's Pancakes and dining locations, all 3 Michaels Flooring outlets, STL Windows and Doors, or at the News Talk STL studios.
Tim Jones here to let you know that together we can make a difference for families in need.
Visit newstalkstl.com for complete drop-off locations. Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship, the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com. Mike Ferguson.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
We have federal regulations that prohibit hunting ducks, and yet it's legal to hunt humans.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, outdoors people, let's have some fun. Indoors people, you should be more of outdoors people. Just saying. A lot of reasons for that.
Agreed.
8:05 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got producer Jerome here and Jason Eisenbath from our friends at Whistlepig, which I talk about all the time here on the air here. And I mentioned the outdoors people because I mean, yeah, you cater to hunters but a lot of campers because I don't really do that much hunting, but I love going camping as well. Let me start with the whole thing on the indoors and outdoors people. We're just kind of talking, a few minutes ago before we came on, how just nutty everything is. And it's good to disconnect and decompress. And one of the best ways to do that is just to get outside. And to do that, you just want to be set up to do that. That's where you guys come in.
Yeah. Yeah. Being outside is good for the body and soul. I was out yesterday cutting firewood, so it was nice to get away from the store, but yeah, we carry everything you need to get out, whether it's for hunting or archery or whatever it is. We've got the gear there in Troy, Missouri for you.
Yeah, and there's, of course, multiple hunting seasons. I mean, a lot of people in Missouri, they think deer season, obviously. You guys are particularly tuned into the waterfowl type season, and I've learned so much about that because I've the few times I've gone hunting, it's been for other things, but the waterfowl, I mean, the duck and all that sort of thing. That's one of your specialties here.
Yeah, waterfowl is big for us. There's so much to offer on waterfowl, so many different companies out there, from decoys to ammunition to waders. So we are heavy on waterfowl. We carry stuff that nobody in the area carries, brands that nobody carries, and we got a great selection of different stuff for the
And
waterfowlers.
see, and this is one of the interesting things because the few times I've been hanging around your store and we did that live, I was in your store there. And there are the people who walk in speak the language.
Yeah.
I that one time I was just kind of nodding politely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understood a lot of it. I didn't understand all of it. I mean, so somebody's got, that person in their family, they are an outdoorsman. They're an outdoors woman. This is the lifestyle. This is the level you're at. But I also noticed there was a couple of people came in who were essentially beginners curious. Hey, I want to do more of this. And you can get them in there as well. You can get their foot in the door so that they can enjoy this part of our community, enjoy this part of the country.
Yeah, we have a lot of new hunters come in or young guys that are just getting into waterfowl, and we can kind of guide them along the way. We're not experts as far as I know everything, but we use a lot of the stuff that we sell.
Yeah.
So we can get them started, get them what they need, the basics, and then they can add on from there.
So a lot of people say, okay, I want to try it out, but I'm just going to go to Walmart or something like that. You can get something that's next to nothing, in charge, but what are you actually buying?
Well, if you go out there and you try to buy a pair of waders from, I don't even know if Walmart carries them, but a farm and home store, you're going to get cheap waders and they're not going to last. I'm kind of my old saying, and a lot of people say this is buy once, cry once. So get the good gear. We can get you in a pair of waders fairly cheap.
Yeah.
Good pair of waders, but you can also go all the way up to $1,200.
Wow.
So
you don't have to do that.
No, you don't have to. I don't wear $1,200 waders. So
I come from Northern Illinois originally, very much a city slicker type folk, but are there any activities? I mean, right now it's winter, it's cold outside. So there are people that are probably maybe for the New Year's resolution trying to get more outdoors. Are there any easy activities that we can get involved with when it starts to warm up a little bit?
Yeah, you can go out. I mean, just getting outdoors. Waterfowl, definitely. You have to go to the public hunting places. You have to go to get on the river if you can, draw into a conservation area. But just deer hunting in general is fairly easy to get into. You can get out there. Now you have to have a weapon of some sort, but there's a lot of conservation ground that you can walk in and hunt. And deer hunting is probably the easiest thing out of everything to get into. And then, just getting out up there at north of us, Clarence Canyon Refuge, just getting out there and seeing the birds, all the ducks and the waterfowl, the sandhill cranes, all the different types of birds that are out there. You can go up there and just drive around and look.
So if I wanted, for example, let's say I didn't want to become a hunter, but I wanted to start getting into bird watching and maybe some water activities. You guys supply those kinds of supplies as well, right?
We do some. We don't do any fishing right now. Just haven't gotten into that. I'm not a big fisherman, so I don't know much about it. We've concentrated on hunting, but we are going to start adding camping gear here down the road to kind of because we did a lot of camping when I was younger and try to expand our offerings there at the store, especially in the summertime. There's no hunting going on. So we kind of switch the store out and we bring in stuff for turkey season here in the spring. I'd like to have some camping gear to offer to the customers.
Well, that's what we were talking about last time I was up there is I'm like, I've been down 44 in, Robertsville and some areas there. And I'm not like the hardcore, I'm going to build my own shelter. I've got my tent, I got my stuff, but that's what I'm saying is, hey, tell me about the camping around here. And you got some good, suggestions for me that I'll be trying, this coming spring and fall as well. So that's it's not just hunting. It's anybody can get outdoors and to do it, just get the good stuff.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do, and I haven't done in a while, obviously we're busy with the store, but every year we did a float trip, father-son float trip with my friends and their sons. Floating is a great way to get outdoors, camp out. You can get to a outfitter. They'll rent you the canoe and everything, drop you off, pick you up. Floating is probably one of the best things to do. You can fish, camp, you can do it all at one time.
Yeah, a bunch of my baseball buddies do float trips all the time.
Yeah.
So you've probably seen them up at Quiver River. We're busy with Jason Eisenbath from Whistlepig Outdoors in Troy, specialty archery with yours, the bow hunting. So you do sell those, but you've got the tech in-house. So whether somebody's a beginner or whether they are a grizzled veteran, you can hook them up.
Yeah, Jay is our bow tech at the store. He's a great gentleman. He lives and breathes archery. He's ate up with it. So he can pretty much fix just about anything. We sell Hoyt and Bear bows. We work on pretty much anything. We can restring. We can do custom arrows. I mean, we can do just about anything there.
Yeah, because that's basically got to be almost personalized just because of your biomechanics on each. I mean, the way you would hold something and the way you would look at a sight, and the way I would do it are different just because our bodies are different.
Oh yeah, your draw length and everything has to be set to you specifically. The weight that you pull back has to be set to you. You know, I probably can't shoot the same bow as you because you got longer arms than I do. I got little alligator arms, so I got to get a short bow. But yeah, we can do pretty much anything. We sell all the accessories, all different types of arrows. Work on anything. We got a lot of good gear in there for the archer.
So compared to maybe some of these online retailers or major outlets, it sounds like you guys custom tailor to each customer that comes in when it comes to specific needs. I'm not just going to have to worry about, okay, I bought this bow and now I'm going to go out there and hope for the best. But what else can people get directly from you that they can't get from some of these major retailers?
Yeah, the big box stores aren't going to carry the Hoyt brand. They'll carry some Bear models. The arrows that we do, they're not going to carry those. We have one manufacturer that's actually a family-owned company out of Texas called Kool-Aid Archery. We do their arrows. We sell their arrows. We do custom arrows with theirs. So we can do the cut. If you want blue fletchings and green wrap on your arrow, we can do that. So, and if you buy something from us and you have an issue down the road, I don't care if it's a week or 3 months, you bring it back in and we're going to take care of you.
Yeah. But the other thing is the advice and the expertise, though. I mean, you can click and get something, basic and give it a run, but it's a whole lot better to know what you're doing. And that's where you guys came in. Cause I don't know how many times between you and Cole, somebody comes in, you're like, okay, I got a question about this. Oh yeah. You get them set up and that's part of getting more people outdoors. And the older I get, the more simple I think the pleasures are. And one of those is getting outdoors and doing more, but it sucks if you go out and something isn't working or there's a hole in it or it was, and so to get out to unplug and get away from all this craziness that we talk about 5 days a week on this show is the way to do it, which is why, so if somebody says, well, I'm not a big hunter, there's still plenty for them to check out.
Oh yeah. You can come in. We do casual clothing. We do all kinds of different stuff in the store. Speakers, turtle box speakers. We sell a lot of those. And if you come in the store, you're going to talk. We have 3 people that work there: Jay, our bow tech, my son Cole, and myself. So you're going to talk to one of the 3 of us.
So for me, I'm more of a shooting type. I like the, do go to gun ranges and stuff of that nature.
Well, you are from the Chicago area.
Yeah, that's how we say hello to each other, And now we're being in St. Louis, it's how we say goodbye to each other. But so for me, one of the big intimidating things is sometimes you just don't know where to start. And then you go through all these online forums trying to get all the information, and it's just a lot of people bickering. But if I come in and I have questions, I know nothing at all about bows. I have very little actual outdoorsy experience. But if I come in, I can talk directly to you, and you guys deal with enough people like me that are novices that you can make the experience that much easier and simpler, right?
Oh, for sure. And we carry ammunition. We don't carry firearms at this time, but that's down the road. We're growing. We're going to be adding stuff every year. But yeah, we're by no means are we experts, but we've been hunting and fishing and camping since I was a kid. So, and my sons have done the same.
You're kind of experts.
Yeah. Well,
I
am not an expert. Everybody's got their own
humble,
opinions.
but and here's the interesting on Rumble. Allison had an interesting comment here. She said, buy from the professionals. Nothing worse than being in the field and your equipment breaks. It ruins a hunting weekend because, man, if you're in the lifestyle, this is a lifestyle. I mean, and you want to enjoy that. We were joking though. I'm like, there are guys who are like, yes, honey, I want to marry you, but not around this season. Not around duck season, not around deer season. Let's cuss. Those are the people who they're coming in and talking a whole different language.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely the waterfowlers. But you have such a long season, it's 60 days. Those guys are fanatics about it. They go, it's every weekend. And if they get a free day off during the week, they're out there trying to hunt birds. So the waterfowlers are definitely hardcore about it. There's some deer hunters out there, but those seasons change quickly, and it's kind of a 1 or 2 weekend deal, and then you're done.
So I've always been encouraging people to check out your store in person. I mean, you can do whistlepigoutdoors.com as well, but the store itself is just fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the lobby area, you got the animal. I mean, it's just a really cool store.
Yeah, we took a lot of time and to create the store, the atmosphere that we wanted. Since my son and I are there 6 days a week, 9-10 hours a day, I wanted it to feel kind of homey, or what I would want in a man cave. I'll put it that way.
No, it's really good stuff. So whistlepigoutdoors.com or in Troy. I mean, hey,
Yeah.
Troy, that the whole main drag right there is fun.
Oh yeah, it's not very far away either.
Yeah, it's good. Check them out. Good talking to you so much, Jason. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul sewn up. It is no more.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On News Talk STL.
Stop right now.
And on that note, duck and goose season still on, right, Jason?
Yeah, it's still going. We got duck season. Well, some parts of Missouri goes all the way into January here. Goose season is the same. It's there's plenty of hunting time left.
Yeah, Whistlepig Outdoors has everything you need to finish strong. Obviously, Mike Ferguson here for Whistlepig, and I've got Jason, the owner of Whistlepig, right here. Right now, you can get 40% off.
Yeah, we've got 40% off our Taka brand camo clothing and Bottomland.
Yeah. And bow, if your bow's broken, we talked about that.
Yep.
Jay, get you set up there. Archery Pro Shop sells Hoyt and Bear bows, custom arrows, and obviously that expert service we've been talking about this whole time. Whistlepig Outdoors is on Main Street in Troy. You can also check out Whistlepig Outdoors so you can get out there once again. What's an ice ripper? Tell me what that is real quick, because those are...
They put those, it's a little propeller, motor and propeller.
Yeah.
They put them in the water to melt the ice.
Got it. So you can help with your decoy spread for that one.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
And you have got all of those. So once again, whistlepigoutdoors.com. Check out the store. It's a lot of fun. You'll see why I like hanging out there as well. Whistlepig Outdoors in Troy. Jason, again, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Need promotional products or apparel for your business? Look no further than Blue Sky Promotions. This woman-owned, locally operated company in Bridgeton specializes in anything and everything promotional. From branded apparel and uniforms to custom giveaways and marketing materials, Blue Sky Promotions has you covered. Whether you're looking to stand out at a trade show, build brand awareness, or reward your employees, Blue Sky Promotions has the solutions you need. Visit BlueSkyPromotions.com or call 314-739-3531.
Hey there, Chris Cooper of Sterling Wealth Management, wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year this holiday season. But before Christmas, we've got one special show for you this weekend, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. right here on News Talk STL. Special guest Mark Lovelace of Kubrick's in historic 5th Street, St. Charles. So come on in with us, have fun, and learn a little bit about what makes Kubrick's so special. Right here on News Talk STL, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. or on Sterling Wealth Now social media outlets.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Well, what is it?
Well, it's a radio. It was indeed a radio. The entire neighborhood was turned on. The news, analysis, and opinion poured over me like a warm glass of Ovaltine. We triple dog dare you to have a Merry Christmas. From Ruthie's Family Restaurant, Williams Brothers Meats, Gulf Shores Restaurant, Food Truck and Catering, and News Talk STL. What was that? My radio!
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion.
let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Is that an homage to Dan Bongino? that was his theme music when he did the show.
Yeah, you caught me. I tried to slip that one past you.
I love that song. All right. One of Missouri senators has seen the video, and he is on board with the missile strikes on these suspected drug boats. You'll hear from him in just a moment. President Trump makes his primetime address, and he talks about President Trump. The Blues end up in a battle of defenses last night. It is 8:22 right now. Let's do one more news dump today.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by the Nutrition Stop. The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
All right. Republicans in the U.S. House passed the bill that they say will lower insurance cost. The final vote was 216 to 211. Now, this does not extend the Obamacare tax credits.
So they found an alternative.
Yes, they are offering an alternative to this. And so Speaker Mike Johnson asked about that, and he says this, if it's passed into law, will affect the entire healthcare system.
It increases the quality of care, the access to care. It gives persons more options, more flexibility in their healthcare, and also it adds transparency. We had the PBM, Pharmacy Benefit Manager transparency piece to it as well.
Okay, so among the features of this bill, and like any bill, there's a lot of good stuff in it. There's some and there's some stuff that you may question, but among them is it would allow small businesses to form together to buy group healthcare plans.
Oh,
and not even just small businesses. Like for instance, a whole bunch of small churches could band together and buy, so they could buy it in scale instead of trying to buy for 5 people who are on staff at a business or a church or a nonprofit. They could band together with 50 or 100 others, and all of a sudden you've got the power of hundreds of people on a plan, which gets you a better rate and more options. We don't allow that right now. I don't know why. So this would at least take a step in that direction.
Yeah, for pretty much any other service or good, you can do a massive group rate and get a little bit of a discount.
Yeah.
I actually really am excited to see how this turns out, to be honest.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So other news here, Republicans and frankly Democrats in both the House and the Senate Armed Services Committees, they were shown the full unedited video of that second strike that's been so controversial, the one carried out by the U.S. against a suspected drug boat. That September 2nd strike killed 2 people who had survived the initial hit on the boat. And of course, that's where all the accusations and controversy and war crimes and all that kind of stuff are happening. Senator Eric Schmidt saw the video defending the decision to do the double tap. He was on America Reports on Fox.
They were seeking to turn the boat back over. It was still floating. They knew there were other narco terrorists in the area. They were seeking to join up with them. And so that effort was ongoing.
And there are many in Congress, mostly a lot of Democrats, but some Republicans, to be fair, who are saying we should release all of this to the public. I got no issue with that at all. I think it should be released as well. Then we can all decide whether we support it or not.
Yeah, no, that's the most transparent and probably the best way of going, because I can't imagine showing a video of a boat that's already been sunk would be any sort of national security threat or compromising the operations.
Yep. All right. President Trump highlighting his immigration and economic policies in a primetime speech to the nation last night.
In his primetime address, the president highlighted the core principle of his economic strategy.
Tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs.
He also touted his administration's approach to immigration.
We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country.
The president criticized the Biden-era transgender policies and claimed he was fixing the mess he inherited nearly a year ago. Greg Clugston, Washington.
So basically, there were no major policy announcements of anything. It was just him saying, here's what we've done, here's what we want to do. So there was no major announcement. It was just him talking about his administration.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting decision to have a primetime conference like that and not really have a whole lot of like major breaking announcements.
There wasn't really anything major breaking. It was more of a PR speech than anything. And there's a place for those, but
I mean,
okay.
Did anybody not know that President Trump liked terrorists?
Right,
I mean,
yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. Now here out of Australia, obviously there's still the reaction to the horrific attack on the Hanukkah celebration at Bondi Beach. Now the politicians, who are much farther left in general there than we are here, they are reacting to the tragedy with bad ideas. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese explaining to reporters how he plans to crack down on hate speech. And obviously, he's talking about using that, guys, to fight anti-Semitism.
1. Aggravated hate speech offence for preachers and leaders who promote violence. Secondly, increased penalties for hate speech promoting violence.
And so what you've got there is you've got what appears to be a couple of Muslim radicals. I mean, they literally had an ISIS flag in one of their cars, but their reaction is, we're going to crack down on what people say. And he specifically said preachers, as this was pointed out in some of our conversation. Didn't say inmans.
Nope.
But preachers. And so you've got the opportunity to take away people's freedom from a leftist perspective, and they're exploiting a tragedy to do that. That is phenomenally dangerous. We need to be fighting anti-Semitism, but we don't lock people up for what they say or think, or at least we shouldn't. But in Australia, apparently they're going to start doing that.
And it's entirely disgusting because the people were not slaughtered by words. They were slaughtered because the bad guys had the guns and there was nobody there that could immediately respond to it. And to be honest, if you keep banning and controlling speech, then they just go into underground corners. And then how are we supposed to know who the people that actually hate us are and who are the people that we should be cautious around? I mean, it's just, it seems like the worst and dumbest solution to a horrible tragedy.
It's cliche, but if you want to fight bad speech, you beat bad speech with more and better speech.
Yes.
You don't fight bad speech with handcuffs.
If somebody's out there openly talking about hating people and wanting bad things to happen to them, shouldn't people be able to know that, so that way they can say, okay, we'll keep an eye on you? And it's
a really bad idea. Okay. A giant charity is receiving some big and some very unique donations.
It's becoming a Christmas tradition. Anonymous donors dropping big money into the Salvation Army kettles of bell ringers across the nation. In Barrie, Vermont, somebody popped a gold coin worth over $4,000 into a kettle outside a shopping center. In Lincoln, Nebraska, a bell ringer outside a Shields store found a gold coin worth $4,200 in his pot. More than $10,000 worth of gold has been dropping in kettles around Chicago so far this season. Michael Harrington reporting.
All right, the Blues get 1 goal. That's all they got in the game last night. And normally that's followed up with, but that's all they needed.
That's good.
Yep. Justin Falk found the net in the second period, and that was the only goal of the game. Blues beat the Jets 1-0. Joel Hofer, perfect in the net, 24 for 24 in saves. Blues are back on the ice tonight. It's one of those rare back-to-back home game days. They host the Rangers tonight at Enterprise. This one starts at 7 p.m.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking scattered showers becoming more widespread throughout the mid-morning hours. That'll press off to the east as we get towards the early afternoon. We're going to be tracking wind gusts still, though, up to 35 miles per hour, only cooling as the afternoon goes on. The strong wind gusts start to phase out into Friday morning, but temperatures a lot cooler, up to 40 degrees, mostly sunny. Saturday, looking at 56 degrees, dry, partly cloudy. Sunday, 43. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
Fox News commentary with Jimmy Fallon next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us. And it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Here's Jimmy Fallon.
So many prominent conservatives gave Trump the business for what he said about Rob Reiner. And I know a lot of you say, oh, Democrats celebrated when Charlie Kirk died. Well, first and foremost, Rob Reiner did not. He gave some pretty eloquent statements despite their political differences. But secondly, just because the Democrats do it doesn't mean that we should be adopting their behavior as our standard. The reason a lot of prominent conservatives were critical of Trump And they said that Rob Reiner tweet was trash. Rob Reiner was killed by his drug-addicted son. Now, I understand you didn't like Rob Reiner's politics, but Rob Reiner was not killed, as Donald Trump said, by Trump derangement syndrome. He was killed by a drug-addicted son. So it very much came off as crass. You don't want to be the thing you hate.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special: personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
Guys, don't propose with a ring that she didn't pick out. Trust us, she already has a ring in mind. So engage with Gage Diamonds, in person or online, where Gage's skilled ring designers will work with her to create the perfect setting, matched with the perfect stone. Gage specializes in exquisite lab-grown diamonds. Financing available. GageDiamonds.com. We're engagement's middle name.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station. This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
All right, we're just a few weeks away from honestly what could, I'm not saying it will be, but it could be a very important Missouri legislative session, and that is if the Republicans deliver on some really big promises. And
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think we made some good progress in 2025. I can't say I was wild about everything happened in the special sessions, but in the regular session, there really were. So where do we go from here? We are now joined by Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger. David, great to chat with you again. It seems like this is a moment in time where the demand for tax relief is at an unusual place, because it's not unusual for Republicans to run for office and win office saying, I'm going to cut your taxes. But boy, we really want that delivered in a way that's tangible. The governor now says, I want to eliminate the state income tax in Missouri. So now it becomes, how do we do it? What do you see being done this year between, the legislature and the executive, and what's the right approach to that?
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me on. By the way, I am in Jefferson City right now, and it's raining here. It truly looks like a swamp in Jefferson City right now. We're getting quite a bit of rain. I'm heading up to northwest Missouri, up to Savannah, Missouri. Dan, I just talked to a state senator as I was walking out of the Capitol just a few minutes ago. I think there's a strong appetite. It's Senator Joe Nicola out of the Kansas City area, who is just livid, not just over income taxes, but over the real estate property taxes. You may recall last session, he called the assessors out throughout the state who were trying to jack up, real estate property taxes by over 15%. And it happened to me, and it happened to my neighbors, and it happened to people throughout the state of Missouri. So the long and short of it is, I think we report to the citizens of the Missouri, and I think the citizens of Missouri are livid over the current tax structure of Missouri. That would include income tax, real estate property tax, and personal property. So the entire tax structure in Missouri needs to be looked at. I think with Governor Kehoe leading the charge on this income tax reform, I think that's going to bode well in terms of trying to get something done in the legislature this session. The Democrats were upset the way things concluded. So we'll see how things start out here in the next 2 or 3 weeks when I gavel in the Senate on January 7th.
Going to be a lot of special interest trying to fight any sort of tax reform, especially property tax reform, because a lot of that's levied at the local level. How delicate is this going to be to actually get it done? Because I think regardless of the special interest effort, if Republicans don't deliver something we can all feel, I have a feeling that people are going to be really ticked off.
I think that's right. That's why they elected us to come and get things done. And one of the big campaign issues, certainly at the Governor Kehoe, was the income tax. You know, the other states have done this. Florida, Tennessee, and Mississippi recently did away with their income tax. You look at the higher growth states, normally the common denominator is lack of an income tax. You know, you drive down to Nashville, Tennessee, you know, Missouri played Vanderbilt at a football game. People went down there and came back, and this past fall were raving about how booming Nashville is. So the common denominator seems to be the lack of an income tax in these various states.
Yeah, and of course, Tennessee is also a right to work state, which makes a difference.
Yeah, you have Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Mississippi, I think is making some progress along those lines. So a number of states are looking at this. So we'll see what Missouri gets done this session. You know, we kind of landed on a little bit of a bang with the Democrats being upset with this redistricting issue. So I'm not sure how they're going to come out of the gate in terms of cooperation to start the session on January 7th.
We're visiting with Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger. Interesting article that I think a lot of us have come across, and some of the folks on your team said, hey, Mike, did you see this? And these are some Republican lawmakers are saying we need to basically keep an eye on overseas money transfers. So there's a proposal out there. I mean, there's hundreds of laws proposed, but we're talking about are people who are here, you know, basically as immigrants sending money overseas. What is the problem, if any, and what should be addressed on that? Because I think a lot of people might hear that and go, well, if it's their money, what's the problem on this? But there's a bigger picture.
Well, there is. We addressed this. Treasurer Vivek Malik and I and a number of others had a press conference 2 days ago in downtown St. Louis addressing these remittance on these illegals. Senator Eric Schmidt has addressed it at the federal level. And it was what is happening is these banking institutions are allowing, you know, it's a good way to identify is illegals, and they're shipping off probably unreported billions of dollars off of their relatives and others in Venezuela, Mexico, Argentina, various places throughout the country. And what Senator Schmidt has proposed on a federal level is to tax those remittances. So when they send $1,000 over to their Uncle Julio down in Mexico, that's going to be charged 15%. Similarly, Vivek Malik and a couple of state representatives, Keithley and Senator Sporer, have proposed banking institutions being requiring these folks prove they're not illegals prior to issuing these remittances. So I think if you're able to get that done, it's going to, again, deter these illegals from coming over here. And we cannot use this, this great country as a carrot or provide these incentives for these illegals to keep coming over here. As a matter of fact, we need to disincentivize them. They're overwhelming our hospitals, our schools, our jail cells. So we need to do everything we can to disincentivize these illegals from coming over to this great country.
Now, there are plenty of legal immigrants who do that. I mean, at one point, I think the Philippines, something like 11% of their GDP was their citizens sending support back to their families. So are we looking at making a distinction between those who have come and played by the rules and sending money back to their family or whatever versus illegals? Or is it just money that's being remitted out of Missouri, out of the U.S. to somewhere else in the world?
Money being remitted by illegals. Okay. Not you. Again, if you're a legal American citizen, you'd be able to remit those funds under proposed legislation without any issue. If you're an illegal citizen, it's going to be flagged. You won't be able to do it. And hopefully they'll end up taking you the next step and deport the person that's here illegally. So no, it would not apply or be applicable to current proposed legislation. Again, it's just currently proposed. It's been pre-filed, would only be applicable to illegal aliens.
Mm-hmm. One of the other things we were just talking the other day to Brenda Talent from the Show Me Institute, and she brought up some of the next steps a lot of school choice supporters would love to see taken. There are a few steps that were taken this past year, the 2025 session. obviously a lot of opposition. You know, there's a lawsuit trying to strike down part of the law that allows charter schools in Columbia. And, you know, there's a lawsuit basically trying to gut the Most Scholars program. How solid are we on the current school choice options in Missouri, and what realistically can we get done to expand that in Missouri?
Well, it's going to, again, another big issue that's going to take place this legislative session in the budget cycle. Last session, there was $50 million allocated to the Most Scholars program, which is, you know, allows people to choose their school. The state treasurer recently proposed upping that to $100 million, so doubling the amount from last session to $100 million. So we'll see if that gets any traction. That's going to get a lot of pushback from the Democrats and, frankly, from the teachers' unions. So we'll see what kind of traction that gets. I think it's going to be a tougher budget year here the next year or two. So we'll just have to see how this session plays out. But again, Mike, that's going to be a big issue, is the budgetary amount for the Most Scholars program, which leads to school choice and allowing people to elect their best school for the kids.
Yeah, and that ties back to kind of where we started is if we're talking about eliminating the income tax, and I'm sure whatever that plan is, it'll be a step down transitionary sort of period. But that's also means that you by design have to restrain government spending, which to me is one of the key benefits, is that, when you're looking at less income tax revenue coming in, government must live within its means because, more money means government bureaucrats get to spend and do more and grow government and extend their authority.
You know, you're exactly right. I see there's an insatiable appetite for spending by the government. And what happened over the last few years, we had all the COVID money. So the Missouri state budget has blossomed from probably around $28 billion about 10 years ago to $52 billion. So it almost doubled the amount of the state budget, and in large part because of all this COVID money that was floating around. They spent it like drunken sailors. And once you begin these government programs, dialing them back is problematic. Ronald Reagan mentioned that, once you start these government programs, it's next to impossible to get rid of them. So somebody needs to have some backbone and cut this government spending and give it the dollars back to where it belongs, and that's to our Missouri taxpayers.
Okay, we just got a minute or so left here, David. Your office officially the advocate for senior Missourians. You've had a series of events regarding elder abuse and a variety of kinds. What are the things that seniors in particular, and those of us who have seniors in our lives, need to be watching out for? What are these events telling people, and what are you learning?
Yeah, we had several forums across the state of Missouri, and we listened to a number of stories and people that we had a tremendous amount of feedback. The Attorney General's office ended up getting engaged because there can be physical abuse, emotional abuse, scams that take place. It could be in a senior living facility. It could be, in someone's home where a relative moves in and begins taking advantage of a loved one. The takeaway is we filed some pre-filed legislation by Senator Schnelting, who co-hosted with me. And what we're saying, there's some sketchy senior living facilities out there. Many are reputable, and we ran it across the more reputable ones. A lot of these senior facilities do not have any insurance, and they set up these shell companies where they'll flush out their money to a real estate holding company, to a personnel company. So if something goes to operating company doesn't have any money. So what Senator Snelting's proposed legislation is be like driving a car, where you're downtown St. Louis and these uninsured motorists don't have, you end up getting demolished and they don't have any insurance. Well, similarly, in senior living facilities where they don't carry any insurance, which was shocking to the more reputable senior living facilities. So that will be addressed. The criminals we oppose. The ombudsman program in Missouri, which helps people navigate this very complicated system, has passed 3 or 4 years ago. Unfortunately, the then governor vetoed that legislation. So we have a big solution to a lot of these concerns we had during these forums.
It's going to be a fascinating session. We're actually going to be there on opening day as well, doing this program from the Capitol. Hopefully we can catch up for a few minutes there as well. Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, I look forward to joining you. I'll be there with bells and whistles on, gaveling in the Senate.
All right, sounds great. We'll talk to you again soon,
All right,
David.
have a Merry Christmas.
And
all right, thank you.
You as well, David. All right, 314-912-1019. I think that the Republicans in the legislature, I think they get it. They know that they're not going to be able to say, well, we tried, we just couldn't get across the finish line. I think they're well aware. We expect and we demand a lot out of this year.
Now, what I expect out of people is 80s bump music for Flashback Friday. It should not be that difficult to get your favorite 80s bump music into me, Jerome, at NewsTalkSTL.com. Something feel good, something you can play for the holidays. Doesn't have to be holiday themed, but brownie points to you if it is.
I've had, a lot of times where I extol the virtues and all the benefits of Nutrition Stop. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Nutrition Stop, nutritionstop.com, right off Mexico Road in St. Peter's. But I was over there the other day talking to Barbara, who's one of the owners there, along with Ryan. And she made a point that I hadn't really thought of before. Now, I know that I'm not having the joint pain. I'm not having the aches. I've lost a lot of inches. I feel a lot stronger because I'm putting good stuff into my body. And she mentioned something that was fascinating. She said, Mike, have you noticed that we take better care of our cars than we do our body? Can you imagine if your approach to taking care of your car and trying to keep this thing running on the road was the same as so many people, where you go to, I know I need to keep the engine running. Just grab whatever fluid and just stick it into whatever valve that you have there. Your car's not going to last very long. It's going to burn up. It's going to wear out. But we do that with the food and the stuff we put into our body every day. And then we wonder why our body breaks down and gives us problems or develops chronic inflammations or diseases that we otherwise could have avoided. That's why I go to Nutrition Stop there in St. Peter's. Go check them out. Supplements, groceries, you name it, skincare product, everything they've got. Nutritionstop.com, or go in, say hi in person, tap in to their experience and knowledge. They have changed my life in such a positive way. Nutritionstop.com.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Brain fog, fatigue, and stubborn weight aren't random. They're signs your detox pathways aren't keeping up. I'm Dr. Brian Deloney. This week, we talk liver health, methylation, and how to restore detox the right way. Tune in.
Simply Health, Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
It's more than a rebellion. When your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work, real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
Colombo and Company.
A federal appeals court ruled that Trump can continue to deploy National Guard troops in D.C., a big win for the administration that we'll discuss Thursday. Plus, Senator Nick Schroer and Dr. Randy Tobler.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
I got to tell you, I think even though there's all these big stories that are happening as we're heading into obviously the Christmas season. I mean, Christmas is,
it's
a week from today, right? Yeah. 18th. Yeah. So we're right there. So I get it that a lot of people are saying, man, I do not want to get all worked up over politics right now. Same thing. Trust me. as we head in. We're going to be having so much fun over the next week or so. One of the just fascinating things in the last 24 hours has been, first of all, I think a big kind of shrug with the president's speech. I mean, nobody, I haven't heard anybody really slam it other than the kooky far left people, but I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, okay. If you like the president, he touted his accomplishments and you just go, yeah, great. But I don't think the speech really set the world, on fire because he didn't announce any new big policies, which is fine. It was an update, probably could have been a press release or a social media post, but whatever. It was fine. I'm kind of glad I didn't stay up late and watch it because there wasn't any bombshell, sort of announcement on it. It was just him making the case for his policies. Okay, that's fine. There's a place for that. But the big news a lot of people are talking about is Dan Bongino.
Mm-hmm.
You remember how huge that was when Bongino announced that he was going to work for the administration? And of course, affected us here because Dan was doing middays. We carried his show in the middays right here. And that was a big deal. But it wasn't even just that we had lost Dan Bongino, because that was the first major change to our lineup that we had since day one. But he walked away from an empire that he was building to serve. Now, it looks like he's leaving on good terms. There are hints that he was frustrated with not getting as much done as he wanted. I think there were some people on like Rumble chat and Facebook who were pointing out to say, I wonder if he realized just how big the monster is. And he thought he was going to be able to get a lot of reform and transparency done, and found out that you were running into something much larger than any one person or politician, including any one administration.
I had suspected, because Dan Bongino, from everything I can tell, he does have a very strong credibility. He's got very strong integrity, and that's what a lot of people were excited for him to be part of the administration for. I do think that, just like what happened with Elon Musk, I think that he maybe went in a little starry-eyed. He was ready to rock and roll. He thought it was going to be an entirely different, a new era for politics and transparency, especially given the last administration that we unanimously pretty much kicked out of office. And then seeing some of the posts and remarks from Dan Bongino, something somewhere along the way must have soured him. And I mean, I'm glad that it's on good terms. But at the same time, it is a little bit, I do feel for him, walking away from a sure thing gig, something he built up all this time,
millions, tens of millions of dollars,
trying to do the right thing in government, and then potentially realizing that things are even worse behind the scenes, and or you're not going to be able to do the things need to be done.
Or he just simply says, you know what, I can have a bigger impact doing media, which I'm going to guess is what I'm not privy to any special information, but he can go back and start his podcast again. He's probably got sponsors lined up, would love to get a piece of that action. Whether or not he goes back to radio remains to be seen. I have no idea. Who knows? He may end up with a Fox or a Newsmax TV show because he's done television before. There's a demand for Dan Bongino. Out of sight, out of mind, though, is there as much demand as there was a year ago?
And that is, unfortunately, I think the reality is that the people that are very much looking at this as him walking away in a quote unquote abandoning post are probably not going to want to tune back into his radio show. Because I have been seeing some comments across the web, and I mean, it's the internet, but still it's a reflection of how people are feeling, saying, well, you wimped out, you quit, you're throwing in the towel way too early. The administration hasn't even fully had time to get things pushed through, which again, that's up for debate. But
see, I don't see him as wimping out or throwing in the towel. I mean, he was there for almost a year. Well, 8, 9, whatever it was, not a long time. I didn't expect him to be there for the whole term. And sometimes you get there and go, this isn't where I can make a difference, or this isn't what's right. I don't know if that's wimping out.
I agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of people who says, no, we want the Trump administration to succeed. We want these high profile people to stay there. I get that. But, in the end, Dan Bongino's got to do what's right for Dan Bongino and Dan Bongino's family.
Personally, I think it would be very cool for him to maybe go the more Tucker Carlson route. Maybe him himself and his media crew will go out and have high profile people within the government, and basically do the things and have the interviews and the open conversations and put it in the public eye. I think that would be a fantastic turn of events. Now, if that's going to be,
just don't become the corrupt grifter that Tucker Carlson has become.
But stay sane, I guess you can put it. But I think that would be something that maybe would potentially get some of the people that are soured on the way things go. But once I saw the social media post where he said that he was shook to his core by some of the stuff he saw, that was the moment where I realized like something something had to have happened. And after that, we started not to see so much from Dan.
And there wasn't really much delivered after that.
He kind of went media quiet for a while.
Yeah. So it's going to be fascinating. I think Dan Bongino has a place in the conservative movement.
Yes.
If he wants to embrace that and lean in to do that. What he's going to do, I don't know. I can't tell you what's right for him. I would love to have him back on the show here. I'm sure there's plenty of demand for that, but that'll be fascinating to see what happens in the future.